valley of the shadows, land of the scorpion. Stung by the darkness, swimming in all the poison. I need some angel music, so damn hot down here. I need some angel music, so to wash away the fear. Come with some angel music, so damn hot down here. I need some angel music, so to wash away the fear. Holy, unseen, I plead, show me some mercy. Grandma, come on down here and sing your prayer with me. Cause I can shine like a raven if I get a little bit of sun. A little bit of light, just a little bit of sun. I can shine like a raven if I get a little bit of sun. With a little bit of light, I can shine like a raven. I can shine like a raven. I can shine like a raven. In the land of the shadows, the valley of the scorpion. Stung by the darkness, swimming in out the poison. I need some angel music. I need some angel music. I want some angel music. The song to wash away the fear. Holy, unseen, I play. Show me some mercy. Grandpa, come on down here and sing your prayer with me. Cause I can shine like a raven with a little bit of sun, a little bit of light, just a little bit of sun. Black feather glisten, just a little bit of light, a little bit of sun. I can shine like a raven, shine like a raven. Black feather glisten. Pull me up from the Snake River. I want to be one. Pull me up from the Snake River. I want to know freedom. Oh,
You're running me twice on Rumble and on YouTube. Nice. Well, JJ's going right now. I didn't know he's going to be, didn't figure he'd be too long, but he's still going. He'll be going for a while, I'm sure. I was just going to goof around today because nobody else was on, and I saw JJ's on. So sometimes I don't understand some people, but stick to your guns. So I was going to just review a little video by a guy named Real Skate Stories. He does some old school skate videos. Just reviewing them, and he was there when they were made. So one about Mark Gonzalez. He's a great skater. He was one of the legends of the time. Hey, Tony. How's it going? So you guys want to watch an old skate video with Mark Gonzalez in it? I say we do. You can hang out and watch it. If you guys skated back in the day, I did. Mark was like a legend before his time. He skated goopy and regular. It was really cool. All right. And JJ's running a comedian over there right now. I have no idea who that guy is, but he's funny. And maybe we'll watch some of your videos and some music. I think Scott's working right now. He'd want to stop by and see some. Oh, here goes. Mark Gonzalez, top 6 most influential skaters in the world at the time. Nowadays, these kids are making us look bad. This is our route.
Welcome back to Real Skate Stories. The greatest skateboarders in history have given us so much inspiration.
Cavalier, yeah. Stacy Brolton. Blake Whaley. I don't know who that chick is. Not Brad Mount. Matt Hanford. Jake.
We asked you on our poll, who is the most influential skateboarder of all time in terms of what they did on a skateboard? Wow, you guys came in hot with your votes and comments, and it got heated and emotional. But the results are in, and you voted for Mark Gonzalez. The Gons captivated your hearts and minds more than any other skateboarder in history. And it's fair to say that he is indeed the most influential skateboarder of all time. The Gons epitomizes skateboarding at its best. Creativity, individuality, innovation, artistic expression, skill, performance, and style. With an otherworldly X factor, he bridged the generations, bringing 70s and 80s speed, power, and flow, and then adding in tech and attacking gnarly obstacles, transforming skateboarding entirely in the process. So when the Gons was asked for his personal 5 most influential skaters,
5 most influential skaters: Tony Alva.
there are a few people in the world of skateboarding who have the balance, the timing, the speed, or the versatility of Tony Alva. He is amazingly limber, and he will admittedly go for anything, which makes him a standout in any crowd. The original Gumby man of skateboarding, Tony uses his body weight to aid speed, traction, flow, or direction in all his riding. His body does indeed work constantly, and the use of his knees and ankles in whip or snap turns gives him an extra level of fine-tuning that few other riders have yet discovered. At the recent opening of the Carlsbad Skate Park near Carlsbad Raceway, with the madly plunging and pitching motocross bikes in the background, Tony stood out as strangely similar to those racers as he climbed and dropped on the banks and bowls. Unlike the majority of riders who who can be classified as specialists in one field or another, Tony specializes in versatility. In slalom, his perfected sense of rhythm and timing are apparent as he gyrates his body as rhythmically as a slow-motion belly dancer. On banks and pools, his rubbery reflexes and all-try-anything attitude combine to make him perhaps the best bank rider going. And in freestyle, his natural coordination shines through as he effortlessly cranks his body into multiple 360s or casual nose wheelies on the side of a bank. These are the qualities that put Tony Alva among the top riders in any area he chooses. A native of Skate Town, Santa Monica to most of us, he has ingrained himself in the aggressive characteristic of the skaters who have emerged from this area. Indeed, there's nothing passive about the riding of Tony
Still
Alva.
riding today.
Five most influential skaters: Tony Alva, Shogo Kubo,
Good dog number. Got a lot of photo ops.
Shogo Kubo may be fun-loving, but he takes his skating seriously. He's punctual and has a no-nonsense attitude about everything he does. Shogo was born in the southernmost part of Japan, in Kagoshima City. Growing up in the Orient has given him an entirely different attitude about most things that we all take for granted, like being able to communicate. When he came to this country, he did not speak English. He now speaks 2 languages fluently, has adapted with total ease to the informal lifestyle of Southern California, and still manages to retain the moral values of his traditional upbringing. He is reluctant to speak of his own accomplishments, but is not hesitant to extol those of his friends. It was only by coincidence that his first introduction to skateboarding was at his judo class. One of the students there used to skate before and after class, and the whole rhythm and movement intrigued Shogo enough that he got to know Jay Adams and tried using his board. The moves came easily to him. He has a fine sense of balance derived from his varied athletic background. And most important of all, judo has taught him the proper art of falling. The banks, upon which he learned the finer aspects of skateboarding, could not intimidate him. He takes an aggressive approach towards skating, but does it in a subtle manner. At skate parks, he likes to give people a good show, but he really prefers the free and easy, plush lands of West Los Angeles and Santa Monica, just skating with his many friends. His favorite spot was the now defunct Keyhole. Upland, Reseda, Skatopia, and the more recent Dog Bowl have become the terrain he travels most frequently. He rides a 30-inch Z-Flex equipped with tracker trucks and tunnel rocks or Powerflex wheels.
I don't think he rides
He
it
likes to
anymore.
skate to the music of Jimi Hendrix, explaining that Hendrix was 10 years ahead of his time, an innovator, completely original and unparalleled. He had been into competition when he was on the fabled Zephyr team, but felt that freestyle was too confining for him. He said that the whole contest scene deprived him of time that could be freely spent elsewhere. Shogo prefers walls. He says that when contests are held on bowls, he will again compete. His style is smooth, yet forceful, and when asked if he practices to maintain this appearance, he replied, "No, when I'm in a bowl, I just have to go for it. It is not a routine that can be practiced.
That's
It's
what I say
only
when
the
I'm in a
first
bowl,
move
too."
can be planned." He explained further that each successive move depends on the manner in which the preceding move is completed. Frontside axle grinds, one-wheelers on the coping, and two wheels out carving are his favorite maneuvers. He considers the frontside airborne the most difficult of all bull maneuvers. Shogo explains, "Sometimes I think
I agree
all this
with
is too dangerous, but the moves come so fast that it's hard to give that idea much thought."
The backside airs
His
are a lot
ambitions
easier.
are not limited to skateboarding, but include becoming proficient upon the guitar he has been playing for over a year, and a trip to Japan where he would like to see how things have changed, what skateboarding and its parks are like there, and to see his mother.
Five most influential skaters: Tony Alva, Shogo Kubo, George Orton.
To the extent that an appearance in Skateboarder has come to represent some sort of success in the sport, many a skater has been known to overstep the bounds of sanity for just that chance. Putting their physical well-being on the line, they turn on for the cameras in hopes of eventual recognition. The hard truth of the matter is that figuratively breaking into the magazine sometimes literally means breaking bones.
Ouch.
And so in the case of George Orton. Ever since last summer, we've been receiving pictures and sequences of George performing phenomenal aerials at Paramount.
Hey, Dennis, how you doing, man?
What's going on, Roger?
Just reminiscing over skateboarding.
Oh, dude. You know who I was watching today? You know who I was watching a video on today? Dwayne Peters, master of disaster.
They're before my time, man, to be honest.
Dwayne Peters was the 70s. When I was a kid, my friend Kenny, his name was Kenny Poole, he was a freestyle bicycle, like a professional one. He rode half pipes and stuff for a company called Skyway.
I remember that.
He had every kind of like freestyle BMX bikes, BMX racing magazines, and he had skateboarding magazines. And for some weird reason, one day I'm sitting in this room, he pulled the magazine open, and I was like, "Oh, magazines!" So I'm like flipping through them, and who do you think the first person I saw in that magazine was? Dwayne Peters. First person I ever saw.
Nice. Yeah. Did you ever get involved with Visions skateboards or any of that stuff?
No, skateboarding wasn't me. I was more BMX. I rode BMX bikes. You know, my friends had.
You were the enemy, dude. You were the enemy.
Well, I didn't put knobby tires on mine because we lived in the city, so I had slick tires on my bike. So it was BMX style, but it had the swept back seat pole. I had the bull bars on it. It was like BMX style because it was a city crawler. You know, we were crawling across the city on it. We never saw dirt.
You ever seen the off-road skateboards?
Yeah, I've seen them. My friend has a one wheel. You know, the one wheel. It's like the electric. It's a board with the wheel in the middle. Yeah, my buddy's got one of those. I was able to get on it and ride it straight, but then as soon as you'd have to turn, it was throwing my balance out, and I was like, okay, yeah, I would have to be on this a lot to get this.
There's a lot of people doing that one now.
Yeah, one wheel.
Yeah, that looks fun though, but like when they do jumps and stuff, it looks sketchy when they land them.
Yeah. When
you bounce, you're gonna hit something. And
when you go down to the last time I went down the city, I went down. I parked outside of Boston. Then I took the train into Boston and then rented a bike, an electric scooter, and rode the electric scooter around Boston for like 3 hours just to get out and screw around. I was like, "Come on, let's go to Boston." It's on a Sunday, so there's nobody around. So I just rode around downtown.
Nice. You enjoyed yourself, huh?
Well, I grew up there. You know what I mean? Like, but. Now compared to what it was when I was growing up, say the early 80s, it was a lot different. You know, it's a lot different. It's more gritty looking now because it's been around for a long time, you know, compared to 40 years ago. You know, when it was kind of still glitzy looking. Now it's just kind of gritty. You know, the towns around downtown are fucking dangerous to be around, especially, you know, at night. You know, the trains are dangerous. They have cops on the trains in those towns now. When I was a kid, those buses were from the 60s. You could get on those things and ride them till 2 in the morning. And now, like, you know, 10:30, 11 at night, they kill the buses. You know, because they're dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah, you're easy prey on a bus. There's nowhere to go, man.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's not a thing out of fear. It's just, I don't want to fucking deal with all that bullshit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't want to deal with it.
Well, it's a turf war for half the time. It was. I remember like back in the 70s when the gangs really got big in inner cities.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the middle of the mob wars. And when I was a kid, I was walking to school one day. It looked like a guy was laying in between the cars. And it was a dead dude. I went over
Yeah.
and told somebody in school, and they sent the cop over there, and it was a dead guy. Me and my friend walked by and saw some shoes in between the cars. It looked like, and I was like, "Is that shoes got a leg on them? Why is he laying in the street?" And
And
dead dude.
That's pretty funny you should bring Boston up because Justin just did a whole spread on the Boston bombing, actually.
You know where the corner is where that bomb went off? I used to work two businesses over from it in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. Right there, right across from the Prudential building.
There's a lot of questions about that bombing, though.
Yeah.
You've heard of it.
The FBI knew who those guys were, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They knew
Those
who
boys
they were. And
These dudes, for the most
Yeah.
part.
they let them run around and do all that shit. The
Yeah.
Boston FBI. I knew a guy on the street on my cousin lived in East Boston who was used to be a field agent. Like he'd go out and show up to places and ask questions. He always wore like a button shirt. It didn't matter. He was still retired and it looked like he was going to work all the time. You never saw him in sneakers, like that type of guy.
Yeah, I know.
And yeah, he when that stuff was going on, you know, he had mentioned it, like, you know, and I said, "Hey, what did you think of that Boston bomb thing?" He was like, he just looked at me like, "Yeah, right," you know. And it didn't even take a couple of months, and boom, they were like, "Oh yeah, they knew who these guys were." It's like, boy, what a coincidence.
Strange. Small world there. Yeah.
I go
Yeah, I
down there-
remember watching it on the news when they caught him in the boat. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there was a dude who was cheating on his wife that jumped off the friggin' Tobin Bridge, the giant bridge that goes from downtown Boston into the North Shore, and he got out of the car at the toll booths and jumped off the top of it. Stewart, yeah, it's a fucking crazy place, man. I'm telling you, I've seen some shit growing up there, boy. I've seen some stuff.
Oh, there's nothing like I saw. Mostly what I dealt with in Charlotte when I was growing up was basically bad crack deals and, stuff like that. A lot of gunplay, but I never saw like bodies laying around too much.
I had one thing going for me is I had a family member that knew all the cops, and that got me out of trouble a few times. But when I got like late 17 and got in trouble, I was given like the slap on the wrist and the warning that this isn't going to happen again because I'm 17, and I smartened up real quick.
That was a wise decision, sir.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, it was.
So, what do you know about this particular guy, Mark Gonzalez? Do you know anything about him?
I've heard the name of him. A couple of the names that I was just watching for the minute. Dwayne Peters talks about those guys all the time. Tony Alva.
Yeah, Alva's a great Dogtown skater, man. One of the best.
Dude, Dwayne Peters got a channel on YouTube. He puts posts on there all the time, man. He's like 65 years old now. I couldn't believe that. I was like, holy shit.
I'm pushing 60 myself, dude.
Yeah, I was thinking like, God damn, man, time went by fast.
And it does. It goes faster than you want it to. Like I was talking to my great aunt one day. I was in California. She was I forgot in one of the lower towns below Riverside. And she's 104. She's like, I'm just tired of this place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice once in a while to see someplace else. I did a lot of traveling because I was the same way, you know, with the city, just how grimy and gray and dull it is. You know, so I did a lot of traveling, like Pennsylvania and upstate New York and Vermont. You know,
Never
like
get out of
a ton.
country, Dennis?
Yeah, I've been to Canada a bunch of times. Me and my friends used to, when I first got my, when I was first able to drink, me and my friends got in my Lincoln Town Car and drove my Lincoln Town car 20 feet and V8 powered and drove it all the way to Montreal so we could go to the strip joints. And that was my 21st birthday.
Yeah, they kind of had a 21st birthday like that, but I was going to do that on my 18th birthday, but they changed the age limit on
Oh, man. Yeah.
2 weeks before I turned 18.
Oh, man.
I was like,
That's-
God damn. That was the
Damn.
Fed, dude. The Fed does shit like that all the time, man. They fuck with people.
Yeah. I had some money back then. I was like traveling, doing a lot of traveling, doing photography, and going to different events for a couple of newspapers in northern New York. So they would call me and say, hey, you want to go to southern New York, or want to go to Hudson, you want to go to here, they're doing something in Rochester, you want to go there? Yeah, sure. And they hop in the car and just go. They show up free.
Dude, half the people I went to school with back in the Carolinas, I went to Catholic school. They were from Rochester, Yonkers.
Yeah.
They got kicked out of state for juvenile misdemeanors and stuff.
Yep.
The parents moved down to the Carolinas way and stuck them in Catholic school and taught them a lesson.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time. I went to Canada probably 4 or 5 times. I've never been to Mexico, but my friend used to go. My friend used to go down to New Mexico, southern New Mexico, for the wintertime because he hates the snow. So he would drive his RV from Wisconsin to southern New Mexico and stay there for the winter. And he'd say, "Hey, you should come down and hang out with me. Come down for the month or something. And come on, hang out. We'll go into Mexico." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Well, Mexico has its ups and downs, man. We used to go down to Rocky Point and Tijuana a lot when I lived in Arizona. It's like the go place,
Yeah.
It's cheap, but I mean it has its perils, you might say.
Yeah.
You got
play
to
that. Play that video. I want to see the rest of it. That was pretty good. I was sitting there watching it. I was like, "Oh wow, that's cool." I was like, "Holy shit, why is he playing skateboard videos?"
I do this every once in a while. I'll play one here and there. I got sponsored back when I was younger, and I still hop on the board every once in a while. But I mean, Mark Gonzalez revolutionized the sport. He was one of the first guys I actually looked up to as a skater.
Look how small the board size is. Look how small the board is.
Yeah, taper kick is we had boards like that when I first started, but they weren't good for tricks. So Vision started making bigger boards.
Yeah, the wide boards.
Yeah. And Santa Mark, Santa Cruz, they started putting up wider boards. The Sims kind of faded into the obscure world. And what was it?
Am I echoing? Am I echoing
you're
to you?
good. No.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you're fine. I can't hear an echo. All right, let's get back to this little video. You ready?
All right, man.
All right. It's like a compilation video.
Mount, Oxnard, and of course, Upland. As far as we know, George remains the only one to make an over vertical flyaway from the right side of the vertical pipe into the adjoining bowl.
That's crazy.
Regarding the whole campaign, George freely admits, "I just wanted to be well known in the sport." The thing that sets him apart from the mere foolhardily or gutsy, however, is that George does have the ability to back up the photographic evidence. On closer inspection, there's more to George Wildman Orton than the nickname implies. A longtime surfer and snow and water skier, George came into skating a scant few years ago. But George is also a very powerful skater, trim and well developed as a result of an earlier stint at weightlifting and high school competitive wrestling. The unusual combination has produced a very upright, somewhat bow-legged style of skating, equally adaptable to fast, precise carves or high, even straight up and down aerials. Although an all-around park rider, George is generally known as one of the pioneers of the frontside aerial. The effort, as he relates, was a costly one. He explains, "It was something new, at least something I hadn't seen done before, so I took quite a few spills learning how. I started by coming off the top of the bowl, not off the wall, so I ended up landing on my hip and elbow a lot and chipped a lot of bones. But now that George has established himself amongst his peers, he is able to progress at a less feverish pace with fewer falls.
You saw the difference in that Santa Cruz from that Sims, right, Dennis? Big difference. That's like 2 times the size of it. It's huge.
Yeah, bowls. We I know the early days they did bowl, where they just did pools and bowls. And that other stuff didn't pop up until, when they started doing half ramps and stuff, half pipes. When people started building plywood pipes.
Yeah, I built a few of them myself.
That kid Kenny had a pipe in his yard, in his backyard. We used to go over his house, and he'd be like, "Watch this." Do every trick you could imagine. Go up, flip the bike around. You could do every ground trick.
Nice.
Bunny hopping it, standing on the forks, flipping it around, standing on the seat, ride it with standing on the seat. Do everything, every ground trick. He was so good that they sent him out to California, and some company said, "Come on out," and they'll do competitions. So he used to go out and do competitions. They'd give him free bikes. And he had his name in a couple of magazines, and I was just like, "Holy shit!"
We built a half pipe. We took there's a space between my grandpa's garden and the neighbor's house. It was about a good 40 feet wide and 75 yards. We just made a half pipe, like a 6-foot high half pipe there. We just got, wood from the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we built it, dude. And my brother put that thing together. And it was sweet. We had a nice transition on it. We could get airs out of it. It would just put pool coping on it. So we had a nice setup. So I had a lot of spare time in the summers to go out and go skating on that ramp, man. Learn how to skate. It's the only way to do it. I'm going to go back to the video.
The 5 most influential skaters: Tony Alva, Shogo Kubo, George Orton, Alan Gelfand.
Gelfand was one of the first foul skaters.
Few skaters ever reach that plateau of innovation where their peer group so recognizes their singular accomplishments and names a maneuver after them. The tie slide, the Schudfeld fairing, the Logan arc wheelie, the Adams hand plant, and the Valdez inverted aerial come immediately to mind as examples. But after only 3 years of riding, Hollywood, Florida local Alan Ollie Gelfand has been granted admittance to this select group. His developments, the Ollie Pop and the subsequent no-handed Ollie aerial, rank as 2 of the hottest moves on the vanguard scene. While Gelfand's present
I bet you didn't know that he was the guy that invented the Ollie. You've heard of it, right? You've heard Alan Gelfand before, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people credit Rodney Mullen for the Ollie, but no, this guy did it first, long before he did. But he did it in ramps. I think the reason street skaters actually accredit it to Rodney because it's on the street. But he was a freestyle skater at the time. He wasn't a regular skateboarder. A street skater. Yeah. I just wanted to say that.
Accomplishments are highly noteworthy. His steps towards getting them are perhaps even more remarkable. Gravitating at first towards Florida's abundant backyard fabricated ramps and later to the region's surf-styled skate parks. Then, 2 years ago, feeling there was more to life than just frontside grinds and trying to do something different, the young skater began hitting air pop lip slides. From there, the Ollie Pop was the next logical step. About this time, several new parks offering more vertical potential opened up in the state, and Allen's unique approach rapidly progressed in the newly available half pipes, elliptical pools, and unrounded coping. Eventually, he began gathering momentum. Gelfand also began entering contests and placing high in several, despite a few personal reservations. I don't like contests themselves. I just go to get together with the others and learn. Whatever the reason, as a competitor, Allen has been known to win events under pressure that he never even practices ordinarily. The subject of money brings up another aspect of Allen's rise to prominence. Last summer, feeling constrained by the lack of new stimuli, he decided to journey west to look and learn. Next, he parlayed 38 free burger with purchase coupons at Burger King into another financial bonanza. A few days later, Gelfand was in California, filling his mind and also blowing a lot of others with his entire act. In comparing California to Florida, Allen states, while there are only a handful of top pros at home, in the West, there's hundreds of them. When you skate in California, you get pushed a lot more. Skaters he rides with and respects include Mike Fulmer, Ray Rodriguez, Stacy Peralta, Clyde Rogers, and Tim Scroggs. He also gives credit for their leadership in Florida to Nasworthy, Bruce Walker, and Hunter Joslin. Speaking on his current goals, he says, "I'm just trying to get maneuvers down to a science. I want to be able to do them at will." General advice, he says, skate every day and humor helps. You can't be too serious.
Great motto, man.
Failed and unfailed, are you convinced? We don't want to leave you this way.
No, that's a lot of work, though. You ever do it, man? You got to be in shape.
Oh, yeah.
That's about like Ramp-Out Bill right there.
most influential skaters: Tony Alva, Shogo Kubo, George Orton, Alan Galfin, Rodney Mullen.
I was just talking about him. I got the week with him.
Mullen began skateboarding at the age of 10 on New Year's Day of 1977 after a neighborhood friend introduced him to a skateboard. He promised his strict father that he would cease skateboarding the first time he became seriously injured. Mullen practiced in the garage of the family home while wearing a comprehensive protective pad setup, a precaution that was part of the deal with his father. By 1978, even though he'd only owned a skateboard for just over a year, Mullen placed 5th in the boys freestyle category at the U.S. Open Championships at Kona Skate Park in Jacksonville.
He got him checked out though, don't they? Mama didn't want him to get hurt. So. That's a Kmart parking lot.
Very good.
Haven't been in one of those in a long time.
Okay, now got time to start it. Table from 3 feet off the ground. Landed 1 foot on it. Ooh, up on the side of his board. Okay. Time.
Skateboard manufacturer Bruce Walker saw his performance and sponsored Mullen through Walker Skateboards from 1978 to 1980. Mullen's
funny.
biggest influence in skateboarding at the time was
The first competition I ever was in, I competed against the Walker boys. It was in Greenville, South Carolina. I placed 16th in that showing, but they didn't hand out money like they hand out now, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
You make- and the whole performance, I was trying to impress a girl named Stacy Lang. I ran out of ramps and stuff. They had a little street sessions set up for us. And I ended up skating on the trailer. They hauled it in. I was doing board slides and grinds down the side of the trailer. It was fun. But I was motivated, you might say. You've been there.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get Stacy, though. She wasn't interested, man.
Yeah, I rode dirt bikes when I started coming up here. There was the local state park would have enduros every year, four wheelers, trikes, quads, and dirt bikes. And I had all three, so I was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun." So every year I would do the enduro. I never won it, never come close, but I finished it every time I ran it, and that's hard to do. It's like an endurance race.
I never had a quad, though. I had a trike and a two-wheeler. That's all I
Yeah, I had a Honda ATC. I had a 200X.
I know which one you had. That's the first one I ever got.
Yeah, I had a 200X with widened axle, with better shocks on it, with different gear in, with a pipe, and a cob kit, all the gugas.
I bought a 250. It was a 4-stroke though, but the guy put a twist throttle on it, which was stupid.
Yeah. Well, I did it for a little while, but then you realize that if you wipe that thing out, it hangs the throttle open, and I whipped a bike once doing that and got dumped off a dirt bike, and I always thought to myself, Jesus, I don't know why this thing's got a twist throttle. And I got the ATC and I got the thumb throttle. I was like, oh yeah, I'm never going to, but I converted it early, and then I was like, yeah, put it back to the thumb throttle. There was tricks. You could buy the little cams and pull the top off and change the cam, so that way you didn't have to give it as much throttle. So you could readjust that cam, use a different size cam so it wouldn't so it would pull the throttle more with less of the thumb throttle. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, the guy put Sidewinder sprockets on this thing.
Yeah, I did too.
Extender, put low profile tires on it.
DG was the company I bought all that shit for that bike from.
I remember that.
Yeah, the nets for the underneath the pegs, and the rear axle, and the pipe was DG.
Nice. You remember the 500 they came out with, the 2-stroke?
What, the quad?
Honda? No, this is a two wheeler.
Oh, yeah. Dirt bike. Yeah, absolutely. My friend had a 250. He had a Elsinore 250, which was like the race version of the CR 250 Honda. That screamed. That thing was fast.
Yeah, imagine a 500 though, a
Oh,
two stroke.
I've seen them in magazines. I never saw anybody with one.
I never
I
have
knew,
either.
I knew a guy that had a Mako. I don't know if they're made in the United States. I think they might be made. They used to be made, I think, in Canada.
I remember them.
Mako.
They
And it
were
was, I think, a 490 or something like that. And it was so tall that I had to lean it over, start it up while it was leaned over, then
And
hop on it, and let the clutch out so I could sit on it because I couldn't touch the ground. That's how high it sat.
The grasshoppers were like that too. The Kawasaki's,
Yeah.
big two strokes, man. They were dangerous. I had a Yamaha 750. It was a off and on road thing. It was a two stroke too, and it would vibrate so much that you couldn't feel yourself anymore.
Yeah, Suzuki had the DR. The DR ones were the ones that had that had a headlight and tail light. You could ride them on the street.
Well, Yamaha made a couple of those too.
I think that's one of the reasons why I have back problems.
Oh,
Is,
yeah.
from jumping the bikes and running around and doing the enduros and going out into the woods, every weekend and slamming those bikes around with no suspension and shit when I was young. And it's probably one of the reasons why I have back issues.
Yeah.
From
We had
all the
a-
shock.
We had a hill called Shannon Hill. It was like 40 foot of almost vertical. Take that trike up that thing, dude.
They had old farm roads that used to go out into the woods up where my father lived up in the mountains. And, we used to go out on all these old fire roads that would go out into the woods. There used to be, I think, sawdust companies and stuff out there a long, long time ago. So we would go out and ride out there and, miles. I mean, I broke my knee like 4 miles away from my father's place in the woods with no communication, no cell phone, no nothing. Just laid there.
Oh, that sucks, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. My brother got nervous and said something must have happened. Thank God. And yeah, you come flying up, and there I was. I couldn't get up, obviously. So
They
sucked.
get the ER for
the last dirt bike I ever bought, I never bought another dirt bike. I bought that thing brand spanking new to Yamaha YZ250, and it already had some stuff done to it: a carburetor, an intake, a set of reeds, a pipe, expansion, the front expansion pod, and the silencer was out of it, so it was fast. And yeah, I just a lapse of judgment, and my knee ate the ground. That was not good.
The worst thing ever happened to me was there's this little swampy field that was across this road from my house over in Gastonia, and I took that trike out there, and I lost control, power slid into a tree, and it pinned my leg between the tree and and I was wearing boots, and it dug into my leg, the spikes, and I got a staph infection from that.
Yeah, I popped my kneecap out, and it tore one of the ligaments. I had to get the ligament surgery. So that was the end of the dirt bike era. I was like, okay, that's the last dirt bike.
Still to this day, dude, I'm missing half my leg from that. The staph infection literally ate half my leg. Yeah, well, it spread to any sores I had anywhere. So I got like big infections all over. Almost died, literally 3 or 4 times. My dad didn't take me to the hospital. My grandparents had to come get me, take me to the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. I was fevered, swollen, in and out of consciousness.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I've gone through some crazy shit. Life's fucking, I played hard and I lived hard and I worked hard for it. You know what I mean? I didn't sit back and do nothing. Anything I had to get, I had to work for. So I worked like a son of a bitch. I worked 6-7 days a week for like 6 months out of the year, and then the other 6 months it was playtime. And then I would travel off and go do shit. Go stay other places, go to visit friends in other states, and just say, come on, let's go, road trips for a month. I had fun moving around a little bit because I realized that I'm not going to be rich. I'm not a genius. So I'm like, let me go out and have some fun, while I'm young and I still can.
Yeah, young, dumb, and
yeah. Yeah. So,
I was there. I did a lot of stuff that I would go back and redo again.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh yeah. A better outlook now, but I'm gonna
We
get
had
back
boats.
to it. Yeah, you had
My-
boats.
Yeah, my uncle had a boat. We'd ride on the lake. I forget what it had,
Nice.
10 horsepower. We had ski mobiles in the wintertime, so we could go up into that same state park and ride the same trails and go ride the trails in the state park, with ski mobiles. The lake would freeze over and we'd go all the way up like 5-6 towns riding on the frozen lake. It was fun. We'd go ice fishing. This French guy that lived down below us would go out. Big giant guy. He'd walk out there and say, "All right, yeah, the ice is good," and drill a hole and put a shack on it so you can go out there and go fishing. We had
I've
fun
never
up
gone
here.
ice fishing. No, I never had. Our streams and stuff in the lakes in the Carolinas don't really freeze over that often.
Yeah, up here that stuff freezes. I mean, foot thick. You ain't have problems at all. They do they used to do dirt bike races with the studded tires.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, they used to do
Ice
dirt
racing?
bike races up here, ice racing. Yeah, on like a little small round track, probably maybe a little bit bigger than a skating rink.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories. Like, there's a lot of people that got crazy with they put monster trucks as bikes, and they would go out and they would test the ice, like how much it would. Yeah, and when it starts cracking,
Yeah, I was always nervous when I was on ice, especially when we were riding the ski mobiles. I would always, in my mind, image that a hole opens up right in front of me. I was not the greatest swimmer, so I always got nervous on the ice.
You're not a good swimmer. They made sure I was a good swimmer. My grandparents did. My grandmother was a swim instructor, and she got me enrolled in a swim club when I was real little, and they taught me how to do the basics, and then they taught me how to do Olympic style swimming, and they really were gung ho about it. When I was just 5 and 6 years old, dude, I'm learning how to do breaststrokes, backstrokes.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad just said, "Come on over here," and just grabbed me and threw me in the water. That was how he taught me how to swim.
Yeah. Well, that's how my great uncle got us to swim to start with. He threw us off a small bridge down in the French Broad. He just threw us off. You got to learn how to do it, man.
Yeah, you'll learn real quick when you're flopping around.
Yeah. That was my Uncle Marshall was a mean son of a bitch, man.
Yeah,
But
that
that's
was
the
a
way
Navy dude, so that was just how we did it.
And my dad was a Navy man too, so
They throw you in there, you'll figure it out. And I'm watching him. That's what he said. My mother's like, "Danny, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm watching him."
yeah, they're good. No worries.
Yeah. Well, flopping around, choking.
Yeah, we go swimming in the lakes when I was a kid, man. There was a Lake Robinwood down the road from us, about 5 miles. Water moccasins and all. They had it roped off and stuff. The lifeguards were always watching for snakes and stuff in the lake and crocodiles.
Me and my friend used to go out and catch turtles. Go out
Alligators.
and catch turtles and go fishing. And
Yeah.
we'd go out at night and catch catfish. And, we do all kinds of stuff.
Now, do you
It's
see
fun.
this generation now doing that kind of stuff?
Not really.
No.
We did it just because there was nothing else better to do.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? I mean, there was basically nobody. I mean, I didn't know anybody back then that had a computer. You know what I mean? I had one at home, and I was probably maybe one or two or three kids that I knew from school that had them. Their parents had more money, but my dad couldn't afford to buy no $1,000, $2,000 computer. So
Well, my dad worked for Apple when they started coming out.
nice.
So what happened was he brought home some of the first prototypes, and he set up one for us so we could play video games on. So we played Space Invaders and Asteroids and shit.
Yep.
Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah, I had a Commodore back in the day, and I had PC stuff. I had IBM PCs back in the early days in the 80s. My school had Apple IIes in the first. I think it was the second year they had them. I was the teacher's pet. I would do anything the teacher said, so he would let me help him in the classes, and I'd get credit for it, of course. And one summer he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you after class," and gave me an Apple IIe and said, "Here, take it home for the summer," because he knew I wasn't going anywhere. So I had an Apple IIe for the whole summer. And when I bought to bring it back before school restarted, I went down and talked to him and said, "Hey, where do you want me to bring the computer? If you want to open the door on the side, I'll bring it in." He's like, "No, you can keep it."
Nice.
So I still got it. It's in my garage. It still works.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah, it
What can
still
you do
works.
with it? Really,
But I don't have the drives. The drives died a long, long time ago, and I never got drives for it. But I have the monitor in the 2E. It still plugs in and works, which is amazing. That I had that when I was like 12 years old.
And what they did with the computers when my girls were going to school, they got those Macs. You remember those big bubble Macs? You know, the huge
Yeah,
ones?
the ones that were like a monitor with a computer in it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, iMac.
They were selling them. They didn't give them to the kids, so they wanted us to go in and go with like a bazaar and go in and you go buy like computer equipment off the school. They have a sale, and I got computers for my kids at home. I got them a Commodore when they first got kind of modern and a Gateway. I got 2 of those for the kids at the house. They did their homework and all their research and stuff there. And that was when the AOL came out, and you got those floppy disks for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was messing with BBS board stuff pre-internet. So probably early to mid 80s, and started. Boston had a lot of BBS boards that you could connect to, and they had like live chats. You could just sit in a room that just showed the list on the side, and then it had a live chat, open room chat. One of them was called Argus, and I think it was in MIT or it was in one of the colleges that was in Boston. So I used to go on Argus at night and just talk to random people. People call me on the phone. You can call me, just bulletin board, live chats, and then people would say, "Hey, I got a bulletin board. Log into my BBS board," and we would message back and forth. Real pre-internet.
They got an MIT in Boston. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they got there's an MIT in Boston.
That's where they stuck my dad in out of the Navy because he wanted to be a SEAL, right? Because he wanted to be like the Macho Man. He couldn't make it. He got kicked out of buds. He couldn't make the swim. So they said, "You're smart. We'll put you in school. We'll put you in electronics school." And they sent him to MIT, and they taught basic physics, computers, and electronics, and they made him into a radar man and stuck him on a destroyer in the middle of the Pacific. Here you go.
Yeah, but Dad was on a training ship. It was mainly a training ship, but he's a tough guy.
The Navy will make you into more than a man. They'll make you into something else.
My grandfather yelled at him because he got out of high school, wasn't doing much. My grandfather said, "Go join the Navy." I was in the Navy, so my father, as soon as a year out of high school, decided, "Hell with it, I'm going to go." Well, 2 years out of high school, decided, "Hell with it, I'm going to go." He was supposed to be an auto mechanic. My dad was a bit of a hot rodder, and I think it got him in trouble. And then my grandfather said, "That's it, go in the Navy." So he went in the Navy. Yeah.
So what they did with me is they set me down with a recruiter, and when I was like 18 for like 2 weeks, I talked to him, and I'm like, "This ain't for me, man." I decided, no, I'm not going to do this. There was no telling where I'd end up at.
Yeah, I think my dad was 19. He might have been 19 when he was in there, because he was in from 50 to 58.
That had to be during the Vietnam War, wasn't it?
Korean War.
Korean War. Ooh.
Yeah.
Even worse. That was my grandfather on my mom's side. He was a midshipman, and he retired Navy. So.
Yeah, my mother got pissed at him because he'd been in there for a while. He met my mother on, I guess, when he was out 4 year, and then he did 4 years and was out for a little while, and then he re-enlisted. They brought him back for another 4. My mother was pissed about it, so she said, "No more. You're not doing another one. You either come home or you can stay in the Navy," and I'm going home. So my mother had enough at that point.
Well, my grandfather did after he got out of the Navy. He went to work for the city of Los Angeles. He retired from that, and then he worked for the county, Orange County, and retired from that. So he was a triple dipper, man. He retired 3 times.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, my dad did that. He was in unions. He was in the food workers union. So he took care of 5 kids.
Oh, yeah.
He like worked his ass off. Hardest working man I ever seen. I tried to have that kind of attitude when I did stuff. And, there wasn't a time where sometimes I'd run into 2 or 3 jobs and I'd work my ass off for 5 or 6 months, and then they'd burned out and say, "Okay, take a week off, and then come on, let's go on the road." And then I'd travel all over the place, go south, go north, go to Florida, go up to Canada. We go.
I've done that myself. I've done the 3 job thing.
Travel around till I run out of money, and then say, "Okay, go home," and then just get my job back and work for the winter. save back up so I can go back on the road again the next year.
Why not?
So, yeah, that's what I did. I did it for like 10 years. I did it from like 90, from like 1990 to like 2000, basically every year. And it
Yeah, I
was-
did 3 jobs, but it was a must. This is after I got married, which I wasn't planning on doing originally, but
Yeah.
those things just happen, dude. And I got 2 girls, I got to take care of them. So there's points in time where I got canned from a job for corporate reasons.
Yeah.
And I had to go out and go get 2 more jobs to make up for what I was making at that job,
Oh yeah.
literally to make the pay. Because creditors don't care whether you got a job or not.
Yeah.
They're
you
going
got
to come
that
take the
right.
shit.
Yeah, you got that right.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get back to the video. You ready?
Yep.
I was quite a little sidetracked.
That's okay.
Was the professional skateboarder Jim McCall, who was coached in his early years by Walker. Mullen was also influenced by Florida pros Ed Womble, George McClellan, Clyde Rogers, Tim Scroggs, and Kelly Lynn. When his family moved to a farm in a remote part of Florida, Mullen began perfecting his flat ground techniques, and he has said that his isolation and lack of terrain naturally guided him towards freestyle skateboarding. He cites 79 and 80 as his most creative time, a time when he was predominantly a loner, who counted the cows of the family farm as his best friends. Mullen then continued to dominate all the contests he entered, culminating in a win at the Oceanside Nationals in June 1979. In 1980, the 14-year-old Mullen entered the Oasis Pro competition, defeating the world champion Steve Rocco.
Every time I walk away from you, I said the words I'm never gonna say to you again. We're through. Get that feel? I'm chasing you. I run a mile. Made that choice. I'm never gonna walk the plank again. Fuck you.
At Oasis, Mullen also spotted a 12-year-old skater who introduced himself as Tony Hawk.
Here we go.
Before Tony was sponsored, before anyone knew anything about him, he made a big impression on him, and the two would go on to become good friends. Shortly thereafter, Mullen turned professional as a member of the Bones Brigade, based on the recommendation of Tim Scroggs of Mullen to company co-founder Stacy Peralta, who Mullen highly admired. Mullen competed voraciously through the 80s, often frustrating competitors and judging with his consistency and progressive ability. He truly had no competition. Over the following decade, he entered 35 freestyle events and won 34 of them.
He's skating on Oingo Boingo, by the way.
Yep.
That's what he looked like when I met him, right about there. right. I just wanted to say something right quick. Hey, who used to be mod on ODD TV in here? I haven't heard from him in a long time. How about you, Dennis? Have you heard about ODD in a long time?
I think I've heard of the name, but I don't remember ever
You never
watching.
watched any of his stuff?
No.
He has some good content, man, when he first came out. But he's just trying to point out the cultism that's involved in heliocentrism was basically his main mission in most of this stuff. But he got a lot of people turned on to the topic. Yeah.
Is that what the restream title is? Cult?
You could say that. I'm kind of showing you this isn't a cult in a way. I'm not telling people what to do. There's a difference between cult and occulting something, knowledge. The church itself occults most of nature and knowledge of it on purpose for manipulation purposes. You know, what I'm saying?
Yeah, for power or money or control.
That's mostly controlled, really. Like being raised in the Catholic Church for half my life, I know what they do. They don't teach you anything you can really use in the real world. But
Yeah, I'm a recovering Catholic.
I was a member of Sacred Heart and St. Mary's Parish for most of my childhood.
So was I. Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
I went to St. Mary's school for a brief time, but I was a little too much of a handful, so I would shoot out of there quick.
Yeah. Got our lunches off of Rhodes Coach at a small brick building next to a monastery, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
I used
And the
to-
nuns were rough, dude. They were tough.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's Catholic, so it's Catholic-based education.
We
You
had to
didn't-
go to mass on a regular too.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
parents-
My mom was Catholic, and what's growing up because my father's the same thing, Irish Catholic.
Yeah. My
Diocese of
grandmother,
Boston.
dad's side, Irish to the core. But here's the funny thing about that. Because Irish were so frowned upon back when they were growing up, they told everybody they were French. And she claimed to be a French orphan. Green-eyed, blonde-haired, short little Irish woman by the name of Mitchum. Yeah. Tough as nails, dude. She was a straight Catholic to the day she died. She wouldn't let them embalm her. That was in
Okay.
her will. Yeah. They buried her as she was. No makeup, no nothing. Just like
Yep.
in the ground. Made sense to me.
Yeah.
But I missed the funeral. So I got there. And they were getting ready to bury her. I said, "Oh, can I see her before you do?" They had to open up the casket so they could let me see her before she went away.
Yeah.
When they don't embalm people, and it's been like a week or so, you get to get a real good idea of where you go when your body dies, man. Yeah.
Yep.
She was rough looking.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody's ever seen a dead person and said they look amazing.
Oh yeah. No, but they usually try to make them look amazing.
Yeah. They try to doll them up a little bit. My friend just died. My friend I grew up with not too long ago, like last year. Not last year. Like early 24. Kid I grew up
One of your
with.
best friends?
Yeah, one of my friends growing up when I was a kid. We both were, smokers and partiers, and I hit the mid 30s and decided I'm not going to do this because I'm getting a little too old for this, and he didn't.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I got a friend like that.
That's exactly what happened.
It'll get you, man.
Yeah,
You got to put the brakes on at some point.
yeah. I mean, you heard me talk about this before with Saab. I lost some friends because of that. Some people made fun of me because I changed how I was doing things a little bit, maybe had a little different outlook. Some people took that as, hey, constantly poking at you, me trying to crack a joke. Hey, come on, you want a beer? Like, nah, man, I'm gonna take
I'm
a
good.
break. Yeah. There was a few people that I sang around with that became real dickish to me all the time. And I think that was one of the reasons why was because, I didn't feel like drinking. I feel like, it was like, all right, yeah, I had my fun with that. Move on to something else. Do something else. But yeah, he didn't stop, and he went on. I did. You can't live that life too long and not let your body heal itself and not take care of yourself to regenerate and recuperate from, living that type of lifestyle. If you don't, it catches up to you. It's even going to catch
Yeah.
you.
Well, I'll probably be 10 years younger if I didn't do half the shit I did.
Yeah. I'd probably be in a lot better shape. I had my fun with it, but I never let it get too over the top that I was ever in danger. I did stupid stuff. But, the typical stuff that, people that are inebriated or, the typical garbage. But, I never killed anybody or stole anything. It's not like I threw my whole rule book out the window. Those guys, they live that every day. I couldn't, in my mid-30s, I got tired. And I said, all right, yeah, hell with this.
That's just when I settled down and got married, was right around there. So you know when it's time to stop, and your body will tell you. And if you don't, I had friends that they literally wanted to go out like that. That's the way they felt. They felt like they weren't for this world, and they wanted to party their life away. So
my friend would chain smoke. I worked with him for a while, and he would go through 2 packs of cigarettes, in 8 hours. He would light one in the morning with the lighter and never have to use the lighter the entire day. He would just light. As soon as the next one was down, he was putting another one in and lighting it with the with the butt from the other one all day. I'm like, dude, get some tolerance. Get some tolerance. Quit it for a little while. It'll get your tolerance back up. You're going to want to fucking smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Like, holy crap. I thought I was bad, because I would do that at work to keep, like, if you're sweating like a maniac, having a cigarette in your mouth is one of the best things ever. It keeps the fucking bugs out of your face. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I always had a cigarette in my mouth, always. But, most of the time, probably half of it I would smoke.
Yeah, the other half, you got it there burning.
Yeah, I just got it there burning to keep the fucking, keep mosquito out of my face. Just habit.
They use nicotine for a bug repellent, man. They do, in pesticides. They used to, for sure.
Yeah, it works. If you got a cigarette in your mouth and, smoke's going off, it keeps the bugs out of your face, especially when you're sweating your ass off. You're outside sweating your nuts off. It's like, but he would just smoke. He'd smoke all day, no matter what the hell he was doing. Just all day long. And that's what got him was his lungs. He just burned his lungs out with weed and cigarettes. And he was a crazy drinker and did pills when we were young. So, he just never stopped, and he just burned his body out. You can't burn the candle at both ends, as they used to say.
I had a friend, Kenny. He would run in the face of danger, but he would party all the time. And if anything bad happened at a party or in the neighborhood, he would go right to it. Like, he wanted to get involved in it. Like, dude, we had to grab him. Like, no, stop. But he'd still go anyways. He didn't care. Like, all right, it's your funeral, dude.
Yep. Some people are that way. Some people are that way, and nothing ever happens to them.
Yeah.
And then you have somebody who steps out of line for a second and gets killed immediately. You're like, what the hell? How the hell did that happen? And this guy's still alive. You used to make you wonder.
Think about karma. I mean, like, does it really work all the time? No.
Well, that might have been a part of what I was thinking about, was that, if something did happen, and I was like, maybe I should take a little bit. I was a little more conscious of, karma. So
yeah, and most people should be, I think, and I feel that way.
Oh, some people, it's just not in them. Some people, it's just not in them. They'll just do anything. You could bet. I mean, I knew kids in school that were like that. You could say, hey, I'll give you $2. I dare you to go over there. And they would go and do it. Wouldn't even think about it. Some people just don't have it built into them to think, well, what if I do go over there and do it? What's going to happen? And think it through. Like, and some kids are just dumb. They'll just go right over and do something. Get in trouble immediately. We'd all laugh. We'd all laugh about it. It's like, what the hell? Like, what happened exactly? Come back, like, what happened? We laugh about it, but I mean, when you think about it, it's like, holy crap, did he really go and do that? Some people
Yeah,
just don't have it in them.
they don't have a switch, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just think, Jesus, man.
Yeah. And maybe it has a lot to do with the way their parents were too. I think some of them, their parents are like that to start with. It's like they were raised that way too. Like anything will go. You know, I was on a short leash half my life, so I didn't have I had like a.
I was too, a little bit. My mom worked, so I come home and it was, I could do anything I wanted. My friend Rich was a latchkey kid, so when he would get out of school, his mother would tell him he has to go straight home and stay in the house till she gets home. So he's a latchkey kid, and I would tell him, "Hell with that! Come on, come with me! Come on, let's come on over to my house." So he would come over and hang out at my house, and when he started hanging out with me, he realized we could do anything. He was just like, he was like, yeah, come on. Yeah, I could have said anything and he would have been down with it because he was a, latchkey kid,
Yeah, he's wide open.
Yeah, he was like, come on. I could say anything. He's like, don't worry about it. You're with me. I'll have my mom call your mom,
You got away with that, huh? For so long?
Yeah, for a while until we started getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Then that changed. I punched him in the eye one day by accident too. When you're fake fighting?
Yeah.
When you throw a fake punch? Well, he stepped into it and I literally decked him. And I mean decked him. And I hit him. And within about 5 minutes, his eyes started turning black. And I was like, oh my God, I was in so much trouble. So he went home like that. He had to explain it to his mom. And she was yeah. She didn't believe him. So she called my house. My mother come over and said, why did you punch Richie? What are you talking? I said, it was an accident. Stirred up some problems because he wasn't supposed to be out and he was with me, and my mother had approved it. And then next thing you know, he comes over with a black eye. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I hit him by accident. It was all an accident.
It ain't like those accidents you hear on TV, like, oh, I fell down the stairs when the cops get there.
He walked into it too. And I don't know why, but I kind of laid into it too, to try to see how close, because you always did that. Somebody got real close and you were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He walked into it. He took 2 steps forward. And I, damn, man.
Right.
He went to school and everybody was like, wanted to talk to him and ask him what happened. And
you should have played it up like a tough guy, like, yeah, I got into a brawl.
Yeah, that's what he did. And he had a big old shiner. I have an old license photo. I should take a picture of it and put it up as my profile.
Nice.
Where me and my friend we were talking about, you heard me talk about it on Sob's show, about my friend that used to get us in trouble. We would go out and drink and he would want to start fights with anybody or anything.
I remember
that. And he did it like the first or second time and got us into a fight with 2 guys. A chick, he went and walked up to a chick at a bar and started talking to her, and she was talking to him. And some guy come over and started a fight. And I jumped in to try to separate him, not even to get involved. And I went to go turn around and I got punched in the face. I mean, in the eye socket. Nice. And it turned my whole socket, like the whole. I look like a zombie. So it turned my whole eye socket black. Well, guess what I had to do the next day? Go get my license.
Yeah. Go figure.
So I went and got a haircut. I figured, hell with it. If I'm going to look bad, I went to the barber and told him just buzz it all off, buzz all the hair down as low as you can go. And I went and took my ID photo with a black eye and like a buzz cut. So I just looked rough. And
that was probably the smartest thing.
I figured if I look bad in the photo and then they see me normally, they're going to be like, look at the photo, like, holy crap. And then look at me and say, hey, you're all set. You're all set. You're free to go. Because I knew that I would always look better than that photo did. I still got it. I should take a picture of it and make it my profile thing in the middle.
It sounds like Gary Busey's, what do you call it, mugshot. He looks 10 times as bad as what he looked like in real life.
I look bad. Man. I remember my boss saying, because the time I was working at this place where every time I had a license, I had to go get a license. I had to get a license check, because I was driving vehicles. So they had to make sure that you were in good standing with at the DMV. So I would go pay $30 and get my DMV history. Every time I got a new license, I would have to get my DMV history printed out so I could show it to my boss and then say, okay, here's my new license. And he looked at my license and said, Jesus, do you have a Shiner? I was like, yeah, I did. He's like, holy, took the sunglasses off and he was like, holy shit, that's a bad one. I said, yeah, it's my whole eye socket. It's the whole thing. So I just look like, if you cover half my face with your hand, half my face looks normal, and then you cover the other half and you're like, holy God, you're dying.
Nice.
Like, yeah, my eyes in my head. But he got me in trouble all the time. Whenever we would go out, he would start shit with random people. He would get all riled up. And he was Irish. And I used to have this joke that I would say, drinking gets his Irish up. And that's exactly what would happen. He would get drinking and then he'd want to brawl with people. And after a while, it just got like, I can't keep stepping in like this. Like, I'm not built for this. I'm a tall, thin swimmer's build guy, and he was more a big dude neighborhood guy. And it's like, Jesus, I can't keep, like, I break another bone in my hand. I break another finger. I punched a guy one time in the forehead and broke 2 fingers.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That was a hard hit.
Yeah. He put his head down, saw it coming, and put his forehead down. Punched him in the forehead and broke 2 of my fingers. And I was like, this is it. I'm not, no more of this shit.
Yeah, I got a hard head too, and I put my head through a couple of things. And the EMTs always ask me, like, did it knock you out? I'm like, no. No. I put my head through a windshield of a car. I smacked the bottom of the pool straight head on.
Yeah, you got a better head than I got, man. I've got a line of concussions.
Yeah, I got lucky, I guess, because people punched me in the head a couple of times.
Yeah,
But
I'm sorry, every 10 years I got to go for tests. I got to get a test done because I have like 6 concussions.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, like I said, riding bikes, crashing on the bike, whacking your head, rolled a 3-wheeler over me a couple times, couple car accidents, got in a fucking couple fist fights and got knocked out cold. It's like, yeah, you can't, same thing with that. You can't live that life long either. I mean, you look at hockey players now, and all the hockey players all get that brain disease. That
Come on. Sirius is trying to set a joke up. Do you like apples?
Yeah.
Wait, it's an old saying. You walk up to somebody carrying their books in class, and you always like, hey, you like apples? And you knock the books out of their hand. How do you like those apples?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had to do it. It's an old thing to do.
I mentioned one the other day about actually, I got a picture too. I got a picture of the Saab was talking about the map. He was showing a picture of the European map.
Yeah,
map of Europe. And I remember the old episode from the Three Stooges when Mo is the dictator, and he's standing by the map that's on the board and shows
you talk about Moronica?
Yeah, Moronica, and it shows the map. Like, I ran, she ran.
Yeah.
The Jerkola was the other one. I thought it was pretty funny, Jerkola. And I actually went because I thought of it during Saab's show. I knew that he wouldn't get the reference. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to put it up there. But I saved the picture. It's a pretty good one.
There was a skit that they did on Robot Chicken. It was called Little Hitler. And Little Hitler was in class, and the teacher's like, I want the Polish boy's desk. And she turned around, and the Polish boy be gone. And Hitler sitting with both desks. The next week it's Austria. I like the Austrian boy's desk. She turned around, and the Austrian boy's gone, and he's got Austria. It was just a funny little skit. It just reminded me of that for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah. It's kind of dark, but you think about it, that's exactly kind of what happened to Europe for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, they, during the, what was that? Well, that would have been, it was World War II, pre-World War II. The Three Stooges, I think, were big in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was probably right around the World War II era when they did that, because Hitler was a thing. So, but I always got a kick out of that. One of the funniest ones ever. It's called, I can't remember the name of it now, but it had Joe in it. It was the remake one that didn't have Curly, but it had Joe. And
I didn't like Joe. I didn't.
I liked it kind of in a weird way because it was funny because he was like effeminate in a way.
Yeah. He was kind of sissy. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of effeminate, And There's one when Mo has a breakdown. Mo has a nervous breakdown, and Larry gets this great idea to bring him out into the woods, to calm him down. And Larry's sitting down, and Joe walks in, and he says, "How about this, huh?" And the guy says, "Yeah." And he says, "This place is fine for hunting." And he says, "How do you know that?" And he said, "Well, there's a sign outside that says fine for hunting." I always love that. And the other one was when, what do you call it, would hit him or something would go in his eyes, and Larry would say, Mo, I'm blind. And
I can't remember it.
And Mo would go up to him and say, "What's the matter, kid? What's the matter, kid?" And he said, "I got my eyes closed."
They had great one-liners, dude.
I always love that, like the slapstick kind of,
Hold on a minute, I can't hear you right now. My speakers, I got to plug it back in there. They're dying. Today's technology is all with Bluetooth.
Yeah. I use a headset, like a wired headset.
Okay, I'm back. I can hear you now. Yeah, I usually use a headset most of the time, but my headset, I left it at work. So
Here's a good one.
I got a speaker system here that's Bluetooth, and the battery works forever. It's not completely dead, but as soon as it gets low, it cuts off. It's got an automatic cutoff on it. It's weird.
How do you? Okay, there it is. I put a. Hold on.
In the private chat?
Yeah, I put a link in there. That's what I was watching when we were talking. The Who Cares Dwayne Peters. So it's got some cool old clips in there of Eddie Alba, Eddie Alguera.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I used to follow some of it. I was, I like that kind of culture. I could do some tricks on a bike, but not really much. I could do some little simple small stuff. I had pegs on the axles front and back. I'd ride the pegs on one foot on the front, one foot on the back, and lean the bike out.
You swing the back around.
Yeah. Cherry pickers and stuff.
Yeah, there's freestyle tricks.
Yeah. Because watching my friend do it, I could do it after a little while, but he kind of disappeared.
We got to actually know like some of the BMXers and the freestylers. Yeah, we started hanging out, and they'd start showing us their goods, like the hard line, the Hara line.
Yeah,
Hara, and then red line, and those bikes were light as hell, man.
GT, Haro, Hutch was another one.
Mm-hmm.
The Hutch Trickstar was the first freestyle. You couldn't buy the bike complete. You could only buy the forks and the frame. And it was mail order only. So anybody anywhere else outside of California, you would order it through the mail, and they would ship it to your house. My friend got the Hutch Trickstar in cherry red, and it was like back then was a lot of money, like $400 for a bicycle BMX frame. I thought he's nuts until I saw it, and I was like, holy crap! Look at that thing. It was like candy apple red. It was like the nicest thing. I had a Diamondback, Mongoose.
Yeah.
I had an old X20. I had a couple of half decent bikes that were done up a little bit, Schwinn cranks and stuff.
And you put like magnesium wheels on it.
Yeah, I had stars on mine. I had the plastic stars.
Yeah, they would crack though, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but they would warp, but you could put them in the freezer and it would de-warp them. It would flatten them back out again. It was an old trick.
Yeah.
But I wasn't beating the crap out of them either. But what would happen is the side where the brakes would grab on the sides would start to accumulate rubber on it, and then you'd have to use the stuff that would get the rubber off. Otherwise, it would kill the pads, or it would grab the pads too much and then break the bolt on the Diacomp brakes. I mean, my God, all the things I remember.
Yeah, but it was worth the fun, though, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It was, it's like dudes with cars. Where guys buy a car and they put exhaust on it and do all this stuff. I mean, the same thing with kids and bikes.
I went through that when I was younger as a teenager.
Yeah, so I had hot rods.
NASCAR country, we build our own rods, drive it down Independence Boulevard, dragging the strip. Who gets the fastest one, dude? They were racing for pink slips when I got out there, and I wasn't going to do that. I didn't want to lose what I had.
I drove big boats.
What'd you have?
First car, I had a 1977 Lincoln Town Car. I bought it for $300 out of a scrap out of a car salvage yard.
And you built it from scratch, right?
It drove. We put a battery in it, and it started right up. It was stacked up on top of another car. I said, hop up there and pop a battery in it, because my friend had a battery and tools. So he went and put a battery in it and squeezed some gas in the late 70s carburetor, and the thing started right up. I went right over to the guy. He said, I'll give you $300 for that Lincoln. He said, well, the guy running the crane ain't here. So come back tomorrow and I'll have it down on the ground. So I was like, perfect. So we went by and filled the tires up, and literally we used a gas can because the gas tank was full of all kinds of crap.
You dripped it in.
Yeah, and we just took the gas tank and dropped the hood on the tank, and then just ran it right in, enough for a gallon so we could get it to the next town. And then why it was in the junkyard? Because they had no floor. But no floor, you could lift the mat up and put your foot right through it and put your foot on the ground.
Nice. Rusted out, huh?
Yeah. So we cut it out. We cut the floors out and made, welded in. My friend had a welder and stuff, and he knew how to do all that. So he's like, bring it by. Come on, we'll just throw something in it so it'll pass inspection. So we welded sheet metal floors in it. And I drove it around for 2 or 3 years. It was horrible on gas because it's horrible. But it passed inspection. I even got my license in that car. So
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I drove that thing around for a
Well,
while.
did you lose your virginity in that car?
No. That car needed 2 hands at all times. There's no messing around. That 20 feet long and 460 cubic inch. I didn't do a thing to it. So I mean, it probably sat in somebody's yard for 15 years by the time I got it.
Shit.
But yeah, it sat under a tree or something, because when we lifted up the hood, it was just everything had pine needles and tree little things that fall off the trees in it, nuts, and it was ugly. All the paint was off of it. The interior was a mess. And I just cleaned it up the best I could. Being a 16, 17-year-old kid, I didn't care. I was just like, good enough. I got a car.
And Godhart here's a youngin'. He had his first mongoose from Walmart.
I think I bought it. I don't know where I got mine. I think I got mine from a bicycle shop.
Yeah, they didn't sell them at Walmart when I was growing up. Mongoose was
Yeah.
like a high-end bike.
Yeah, Mongoose and Diamondback. Diamondback was the other one. I had an all chrome Diamondback. That was real nice.
I had one Diamondback once, I think. Yeah, it was the big one. It was the 16-speed. Remember that?
Yeah, you had the big 24 inch. Yeah.
I got it out of a flea market, man. I built the thing. It was all torn up. The tires were rotted.
Yeah, I love bikes. I was big into bikes when I was really young. I got into go-karts for a while, and I started buying parts and building go-karts out of old lawnmower engines and stuff. We would take it to the parking lots at night and drive them around the parking lots.
Dude, I had to make all my money. I didn't get nobody handed me any of
Yeah.
this stuff. Hey, Harmon's wanting to come in. Look at this. He wants to get old school. Hey, Harmon.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Just wanted to join you and just say hello and keep you company on your chat.
Oh, nice. Oh, we've been reviewing old skate videos from back in the day. It's Mark Gonzalez's pick for the best skaters in the world. So.
I was the worst skater in the world. I mean, I probably, the longest I ever rode a skateboard was like 10 feet without falling off.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
I could do it a little bit, but my balance was weird on a skateboard. I couldn't really get the balance for it.
Yeah, I needed a butt pads. All I need. I swear, a 10-foot. One time I tried to push my foot, and get more speed. That was it. I'm done. I mean, I don't know how these guys do this skateboarding shit. It blows my mind, especially on the boards we used back then.
Yeah, they were little plastic, tiny things.
Yeah, they had steel wheels. You got to remember, I was in the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah,
they had steel wheels.
Back in the Back to the Futures days when he ripped the scooter apart and made it into a skateboard.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, you had, and I don't even get it. Then when in 2008, one of my kid's friend, she was a longboarder. You guys know what that is, probably.
Yeah, a long skateboard.
She'd go 20 miles one way and come back 20 miles in a day.
Yeah.
How in the hell you do that?
Yeah, they have electric ones now. They have ones where underneath in between the wheels it has a battery and a motor. And
In 2008, there wasn't there.
Yeah.
And she did it on her own. It was amazing. She went to a little town 20 miles away and came back.
Nice.
Is that normal?
Yeah, for longboarders. Yeah, they'll surf the sidewalk, just cruise, man. They just go. Yeah. No, it just came natural to me. but I took a lot of practice to get the tricks. But once I got the hang of the tricks, I got the balance for it. So I actually did pretty good with the skateboard.
So what was your best trick, you think? Did you do one of those pipe, where you go up and go back down, those half pipe things?
Yeah, I built a half pipe. We skated it all the time.
So you could go all the way up and like flip around and come back down?
Airs, grinds, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
My goodness. What was the worst accident you had?
Oh, let's see. I ollie down a 12 stair in the back of it was like a little business center, and I hit a pile of snow that was sitting in the shade, and I had to be going at least good 30 miles an hour. I just kind of like ate it, and then probably handrails, catching it between the legs, between the board and stuff. Yeah.
Was there anyone that wanted to make you quit?
No, man, it motivates you to go back and do it right. It's adrenaline, dude. It's what it is.
Wow, not me.
Oh, come on, Harmon.
Yeah. No, I know pain. It hurt. That was it. I didn't need to learn it hurts when you fall.
Yeah, I know. But once you pull off some of those tricks, when you do a front side board slide, a back side board slide down a handrail down 16 stairs, and you land it and you ride off, it's like there's no feeling like that. Yeah. It's worth the pain, dude.
Well, I think you probably got a little mental trauma there that somehow it snapped. You didn't get as much pain anymore after a couple of headbutts.
Yeah, well,
I'm teasing you.
Yeah, I only hit my head 2 or 3 good times, but
I was a water skier.
Most of the damage is the bottom of my body, like my shins and the groin area. Yeah. Got a lot of slapping from missing those handrails, dude. You lay there for like a half hour recovering from the groin hit you just took.
I don't know if it's state. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it's state law or not, but when they made the law, it was like in 1994 or 5 in California that they had to wear helmets. They had to wear helmets. And of course, at 16, it was your own decision, but up to 16, it was mandatory. And I looked into that. That law was done by a friend. He lobbied, and he owned the helmet industry.
Oh, okay.
And he got the senator or whoever passes the law in a state to pass that law. Boy, that guy, he got filthy rich.
Yeah, that's why he did it. No doubt.
Unreal. Is it a law throughout the states, or is each state different? I mean, a country, or is each state different? Do you know?
They're all different.
They're all different.
They're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of parents, when I was riding ramp, wearing knee pads and elbow pads were a must, because that's where you're going to catch most of your hits. Yep. When you come down,
everybody wore those. Everybody wore those. Where was that? But the helmets, no one wore them.
No, I didn't like helmets because my head didn't take a lot of trauma. I'm not skating. You usually catch yourself if you're falling for the most part, but the parts that you catch yourself with take a lot of the trauma.
Yep. Your wrists, elbows, your shoulders, back.
Yeah. I've had a lot of bicycle accidents, and I still never hit I got so many scars on my elbows, my knees, and everything else like that. But, it wasn't worth passing a law to enforce everybody to force them to wear a helmet. That was just, I hated that. I hated seatbelt laws. And in 1995, they passed a law in California that you couldn't ride in the back of pickup trucks anymore.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And I studied that one, and I went back because I wanted to question it. I guess I always did question things. I go, what the hell? I live out in the farm country in Imperial Valley, California, out in the Blythe.
Yeah.
And everybody rides in the back of the truck to do stuff. Everybody. And they took that away? So can you guess why they took it away?
Oh, please.
I found out.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Can you guess what would be? What would be? Because they were tired of the people going by the Home Depots and places like that and filling up the truck with workers. That's literally why they made the law. I found out. That was and anyway, it's just, we can complain about that all the time. Sorry, let's get back to your skateboarding. That just makes me mad that those laws come in.
Those aren't laws, man. Those are policies.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, it's just
they got a state law, and then they harass the crap out of you and give you tickets constantly.
Yeah,
Arizona, you can go. You can ride in Nevada. You can ride in the back.
Yeah, I noticed that because we were doing that And when I was out there about 10 years ago, man, nobody was not riding in the back of trucks, dude. That was just a normal thing. When I was a kid, my uncle would come get us in his Ford, and we'd hop in the back and just ride throughout town. Nobody ever said, nobody did nothing. That's just the way we did. Yeah.
It's fun, right? It was fun.
Yeah. Stick your head out the back. Wow. Get the breeze in your ear. Yeah.
Who's
Good
the
old
one
days.
who said that they just wanted to enforce the laws? Is that I can't see your name. Who's on here with us?
D-Man.
D-Man. Okay. Yeah, D-Man, you're 100% right on that. Just harass us. Just give us reasons. Yeah. And
They
again,
wanna
there's
break
nothing we can do.
They want to take your money.
The
just
policy is the
frustrating.
punishment. The policy is the punishment. I mean, excuse me. Jesus, I've said it a million
The
times.
forbidding to do it.
Well, no, the process is the punishment. So
Oh,
meaning
yeah.
putting you
Yeah.
through the process, they make it the punishment. Because by that time, you think it's going to be something quick that you can, just get it over with, and they don't. They drag it out for months on end, and they make you show up fucking 6 times, and then they got to do all kinds of letters, and the process is the punishment.
Dude, the first ticket I really fought, I was sitting in the back of the courthouse waiting for my trial, and the cop that was coming to testify came in, and the judge wasn't up front yet. He was in the back, and they bumped into each other like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Da 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 da. You coming over Friday? And I'm like, oh, okay.
You're screwed.
Yeah, my ticket
how
was
many-
coming.
I wish you'd have known. Well, I had to be in a prison guard for so many years. I had to be in court a lot of times with just guarding inmates and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I come up from a town that only has one prosecutor. It's so small, one judge, and maybe 2 lawyers in town, right? And then I got to see them all in their little office together at the courthouse, and they're all just talking and having a good time. They don't even care about you. And so I figured it out. This is how I had, after I did about 17 years with them doing that. Those guys didn't make the sports teams in high school or anything else. So they take it that when they go in there, they're playing like they're in sports. And to them, it's a game. They literally laugh. And they said this one time, well, can we get him or can we not get him? Well, this one guy did something else. It was just terrible, but they couldn't get him. But they went after this one guy who did like jaywalking. I don't know. It wasn't jaywalking, but it was so minor, right? But they could get him, and they maxed out what he did him, and they laughed about it. So you were screwed when they sat there and talking about having a cup of coffee together or whatever.
Yeah, they're
You were-
more than a cup of coffee. They're friends. They're best friends. Almost.
Right. So what happened to you? Do you remember?
In the court?
And when you went to fight it?
Yeah, I went to go fight it, man. But the judge automatically said, well, I got to take the cop as an eyewitness as a professional. That's the way he put it. I'm not a professional witness in this. The cop is. He knows better than I did. I was just going 5 miles over. And my daughter even testified for me, too. She was in the car with me. She was around 16 at the time. She said, yeah, we were going about 75. That was the speed limit. And I went down a hill, and I didn't brake fast enough, I don't think, and I gained momentum. And basically, I saw him behind me before he went down the hill. I didn't brake fast enough. He said his radar read me at 80, so he wrote me a ticket, stuck me in a parish that was really strict. He gave me the worst one out of the bunch.
Right.
Ticket. Yeah, and he made sure he knew the judge. Yep. So, yeah, it was rigged, dude. So I ended up paying the fine.
It's a money grab. It's a money grab.
Yeah, so right here, go ahead, Devin. So the right here where this hill is, where I live like 2 miles from that hill, that all these, and it's like 4 miles from the California border. So they're coming into Nevada. So they've been in Nevada for 4 miles, right? And so the first hill, they come down, the cops wait right there to measure you when you come over the hill. Never mind. What do you think, D-Man? Isn't it? What can you do about things like that?
They're supposed to be. They're not. If you're going down a hill, they're not supposed to be doing it on the hill. I think the speed limits are rated on a flat surface. I think that's how that works. I don't know if they've changed that. I mean, they probably did, but I remember a cop one time telling me, well, they can't go and target people coming down like a hill, because if you got cruise control on, and let's say you put your cruise control on and you're going down a hill, cruise control is not going to auto brake. It's just going to coast until it flattens back out.
Yeah.
The speed goes underneath where you had your cruise control set, and then boom, it comes back on again. Because that happened to me once, and I got hit, and the guy said, "Well, you were going over that hill, and you were going 8 miles an hour over the speed limit."
Gee.
I said, "Wait a minute! I was going downhill, and my cruise control is set for the speed limit." And that got
They
me
don't
out
care.
Of the ticket. That got me out of it.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it got me out of it.
Well, he was sitting there waiting at the bottom of the hill. Somehow you got out of it. But like Roger says, they were just waiting. They and now that's three of us. All three of us have had the same incident where we go over a hill and they're waiting there. So they know what they're doing. So it's not like by accident. And they're unless someone like you that sits there and tries to get out of you actually somehow got out of it.
Well, it cost me more money to not pay the ticket.
Oh yeah, and they
Because
know
I had
that.
to show up twice, and I had to take a day off of work, and that cost me money because I had to sit there. The time the court was supposed to start, then they made me sit there an hour longer. Then when it was done, I had to sit there for another hour. So I was like, okay, I just lost a day's pay.
Somehow that's Roger's fault. I want you to know that. Even though you might not have known him at the time, somehow it was his fault.
I'll take the blame. And this is where I got my ticket was right at I-40, where you come into Flagstaff. When you're coming from the east, and it's a straight hill into the highway there, but down right into the city. And you just gain momentum, dude. Yeah. So I wasn't really ready for it. I saw the cop before I got there. He was on the side of the road. So.
And they're dicks. I go golf there twice a year.
Flag? Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm in Bullhead if you remember where I'm at.
Oh, I know Bullhead quite well.
Bullhead
It's-
City.
I'm from Kingman, Arizona. I'm like 20 minutes away. If you ever heard of that. And from Flagstaff, from Kingman, it's like an hour and 30-minute drive.
Yeah, the truckers going up that 40 stretch from Kingman to there, man, they're assholes, dude. Just straight up.
They're going to pull right out in front of you. They're not slowing down. If you're going 75 behind them and they're going 60 behind another slow truck, it don't matter. They're pulling over. You know what rule I call that, Roger?
What's that rule?
The bigger than you rule.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I'm bigger than you. Get out of their way.
I'm bigger than you. I'm going to do what I want. That's the bully rule.
Up here, they'll go like hell to start going up the hills, because up here, the further north you go up here, the more mountainous it gets. So they
Where
get
you at?
I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
So they get a head of steam going down the hills, so they can climb up the next one. And yeah, I learned that a few times when I was like, holy shit, that thing is right up my ass. And it's because he was trying to keep a head of steam to get up that next big giant hill. And I was young and didn't know. And I was like, Jesus, what the hell is this up my ass for? And then I realized, I thought about it, and I was like, oh shit, I was in his way. What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Harmon, I spent a lot of time at the Love truck stop at there at Kingman.
Have you?
Oh yeah, and Havasu, same thing. You're right down the road from Havasu, right?
Yeah, 40. I'm 45 miles from Havasu.
Beautiful place, man. It is. And
Yeah.
New Hampshire, one of the best states for scenery in the world. Dude.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful in the spring and the fall. Sucks in the summer. It's hot. It's crazy hot. It was 104 here today.
Jesus.
Yep.
And we reached 90 plus. So that's as high as we got here in Denver.
Yeah, it was
Last
104
week we
today.
got 117 last week here.
Oh yeah, that's desert heat. That's dry ass heat.
It's still hot, but I guarantee you're right. I've only been to Tennessee once in my life, and it got to like 87 degrees, and I was dying.
Yeah,
I was
sweaty.
freaking dying.
It's
Yeah.
humid.
When it gets,
There.
how about New Hampshire? What's it like?
Oh, it's hot and sweaty right now.
Is
If I
it?
didn't have the AC on, it's still in the 90s right now. You know, and it's dark out. It's just because it's like 90. It's like 90 out, but it's like 90% humidity. So it's mega humid. And if I walk outside right now, I could hold a flashlight over my head, and I will literally have a trillion bugs if I tried to walk down to the street and come back. I'd get, I mean, it's this part of the year. I was trying to explain to a friend of mine today, Roger.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to a friend of mine today. I don't mean to jump off of something else, but that's
No, it doesn't matter.
I was trying to explain to a friend of mine. He said, "Man, it's so fucking hot out." And I said, "Well, the sun is up high over us right now. This is the high point for us on the sun, where the sun is. So it's the highest. It's high in the sky, it's coming directly over us, meaning it's coming directly right over us. So it's the hottest part of the year. And, I started to think about it, and I was like, yeah, that's right, because the sun is moving away from us. From where I am, the sun is moving away from us as, the seasons roll on. The sun does a different circle. It moves a little further south. It goes lower in the sky. And I was like, I thought about it for a second, when I was saying, dude, the sun is right over us. And, I didn't say anything to him because I know that he would have said I was crazy. But
You're right.
I thought about that, and I was like, well, because this is our peak, because the sun is up directly over us. When the wintertime comes for here, the sun is further away. It's lower in the sky. So it's not directly over us. So it gets cold. The ground gets hot. You can't dig. The humidity comes down. And then.
So you didn't say nothing. You just let it go.
Yeah. But the whole thing rolled through my mind within about 5 seconds. That's how how my mind thought about it. And I wanted to say it, but I didn't say it because I didn't want to get what are you, one of those fucking crackpots? And I was like, let me not say nothing, because he was like, Jesus, why it's so hot? And I was like, dude, the sun is right up over the top of us right now. I said, a month from now, the sun is going to be further lower in the sky. It's not going to come directly over us. It's going to be angled from us. So it's not going to be as close, which means when the sun is blasting on you, it's not going to be as hot. It's hot right now because it's directly over you every day.
Right.
This is our peak.
So, D-Man, I think you were very wise not saying that. And it took me, I've been doing this since late 16. I'll just go 17. I don't want to make it sound longer. So since 17, right? And I just, in the last 6 months, I finally honed my skills and how to talk to somebody and bring it up. And I've tried all kinds of different ways. I don't even bring up flat Earth anymore.
Yeah.
The thing it's got everybody's attention, and it's so far I'm 100 for 100 for doing this. Is and everybody has their own ways, I know, and they think they're right, and I don't think I'm right. I think there's other ways right. So don't think I'm just saying it's the only way. As I tell them, hey, you guys, can I show you something? And I said, I'm going to try and show you something that you already know that you don't realize you know, right? And so I tell them, did you know the sky's a clock? And I'll start with, and I'll give them something that they feel good because they'll answer. I said, so how do we in nature, don't forget all man's measurements. If you're just in nature, how do we measure the days? And they all get the sun, right? That's easy. So it makes them feel good. Like I'm not trying to, yeah, you're right, the sun. So then I go to the moon. Of course, you end up having to tell them the moon, and then the moon cycles every 28 days. And if there's a lady with it, I said that's why they call it Mother Nature, because the moon cycles the same as a lady every 28 days. That's where Mother Nature come from. Yeah. And they go, yeah, I didn't think of that. Then I go and teach them how we tell the seasons with the Big Dipper in the sky. They go, really? I said, yeah, and I'll show them the picture of the one that looks like a swastika with the Big Dipper going around the North Star. I'm sure you guys have seen that picture, right?
Yep.
And so I always have that ready on my phone. And what, Roger?
I've never seen it.
Oh, you never seen it? Oh, it's quite the picture. It makes the swastika.
I have it for an avatar every once in a while.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I do.
I thought you said you did. Oh, that's why you're joking with me. You're saying you haven't seen it?
I have it tattooed on my arm. I have the four corners of the earth tattooed on my leg, too.
Anyway, so I show them that, right? And I get all that stuff done. Then I tell them the seasons and tell the years. And that's about a 5 to 10 minute conversation because they're interjecting by this time. And I said, okay, well, have a good day. I said, by the way, it only works on a flat earth. And I leave.
Yeah, you plant
but
the
it's
seed.
work. I've never been turned down yet.
Yeah, you plant a seed. I ran into a couple guys at work one day that one of the guys was talking about something he saw on the internet. And the guy was like, Jesus, I seen some crazy thing about these people think that, what do you call it, flat earth or some kind of shit. And the other guy jumped in and he was like, oh, yeah. He said, they have this leader guy, Mark Sargent. And I thought to myself, holy Jesus Christ. Here I am standing there listening to this conversation. I'm trying not to laugh. And I'm also trying not to pretend like I know any of this because I don't want any of these guys looking at me like, oh, you're one of those kooks.
That's funny.
But that's what he literally said. He said, oh, yeah, they have a leader guy. I'm Mark Sargent.
And the first time I talked to Mark, I was like, well, thanks for the clues. That's what I left him with. And I left the room. Like, I was
go ahead.
I walked
So
away.
what's your
just
best
trying to
story,
get
Roger?
out.
What have you met somebody and you break the ice that you felt would be receptive to it a little?
Well, not any real got any real good reaction out of them, but the ones I have, there's been like 3 of them that were already flat earthers. To
Oh,
start with, I've actually had that. There's a night manager over here at Walmart where I was working. His name's Ernie, and he got a P900. Like, a P900? You got a P900? And then we started having to go. So, have you ever looked at anything really far away? And he's like, yeah, I'm a flat earther. And that was the end of
I was at my laundromat last week. I was doing my laundry, and I'm sitting there, and the lady who's hired there to watch over and do stuff, and I'm talking to her, and I'm just saying little things. And I said, what about this? She goes, I'm a flat earther. And she's never heard of any of us. She's never heard of Mark Sargent. She's never heard of anyone. She's never heard Dave, but she learned it through TikTok. And so she goes, wow, I was always curious about that. So I love it. I've met 5 guys, 5 people, 2 of them are girls, in the last year and a half. No, it's going to be 2 years this August because I started at the beach. I've met 5 people, and none of them, they're all been from the TikTok, and they're all from the 2020 era when everybody had time to do stuff. Never have they heard of Jaron, Dave, Mark Sargent. None of them in the circle that we're in. They've never heard of them. So that just tells you we think we're the center of the flat earth. We ain't nothing. We're nothing, in my opinion.
we're a niche group, you might say. We're like kind of pushed off to the side, but I think that's due to like basically the algorithms pushing it away because Congress doesn't want people like in mainstream education to have this kind of talk. Yeah. They don't want it, man. They want to keep pushing space. They want to keep pushing their cosmology. It's all based on the church, and they want to keep it that way. Yeah,
they make money and they get funds for it, and they get money for it. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they keep it going if they're getting federal funds from it? Well, hell, they could. Yeah. They made us sit and watch the stupid Challenger take off in school.
Yeah, were you the ones that brought the TV in?
Yeah, they brought the TV in on us. We watched it.
Wow.
Remember that Sacred Heart I was telling you about? They drug the TV in, and I think it was 3rd grade or 4th grade. They drug the TV into our classroom, and we watched the Challenger explode live. Yeah, like, all right.
The reason they made us watch it is because it was a teacher that was on it, and the teacher was only from the next state, New Hampshire, and Boston and New Hampshire are right next door to each other. So we were like, "Oh, cool, a New Hampshire teacher."
Well, she's not dead, dude.
Yeah, I know. They're all not dead. Yeah, they're all alive. Well, except
they're all
one.
alive unless they were going to talk.
Unless one. I think one actually really died, but they're all still around.
I think he died at old age.
Yeah.
Hey, Roger, I was thinking that I was talking to old Vlad, right? And like this, I was talking to him on the phone. And I said, you know what? I just realized it just hit me. I said, that look that Whitsitt had when he came back is the same look that Neil Armstrong had when they came.
Look? Yeah, that like I just ran into a train look.
Yeah, wasn't it? I just thought it. I mean, I'm sure everybody's thought about that, but that's the first time I thought about that. What do you think of that? No,
I don't. It's hard to put my finger on it, man, because I mean, he came back snappy. Like he was all on the defensive to start with. Like he knew something's up. Yeah. So I think he's in on the no for sure.
Oh, I definitely, in my opinion.
So he knows what he's doing now, and they're playing off each other. You watched the interview or the debate? I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. I watched about 2 minutes of it, and that was because someone was doing a review. I can't remember who was. Honestly, Jaron's voice. If you could get physically sick from listening to somebody's voice, I literally get feeling bad listening to his voice. That's how much it affects me.
If Bob was still around, he would be very upset. Because Bob Nodell gave those two a platform that they sprung off. He gave them a springboard and brought them both into the early Globebusters. When I first started to watch Globebusters, those guys were new. Actually, Jaron was first. And then they brought Whitsitt in after. They had different guys when I first listened to Globebusters way back. and they had different guys on there that disappeared, and then he brought Jaron, and he found Jaron on the internet somewhere, a commenter. He was always commenting on the videos, and I guess he brought him in, and then later he brought Whitsitt in, and then Bob died. That was Bob Nodell, and basically gave them the keys. Basically gave Jaron the keys, and beside Cammie, his wife, but Jaron became a big presenter on Goldbusters, so he would be pissed off if he was around right now to see what the hell happened with those two. He would not be happy. I don't think he would hold back a second to give them hell.
We call them turncoats, dude, where I'm from.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's turncoats, but I think that he probably would have gave them a lot of crap on how could this one thing throw away everything else that is obvious, all the obvious things. How could this one thing throw off 9 years of everything else that you learned? Just seeing that sun, we have to rely on them. We have to rely on them telling everybody what they saw, or, and
D, I'm going down there myself.
well, yeah.
Are you still going?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay. I talked to Jaron the day before he left. So 1 o'clock in the morning, he passed. He was so high, he passed out on the phone out here. And when I'm talking to him, and my whole kept thinking to him, he says, "Well, you think you could be 24%?" I said, "We don't know what it does, Jaron. I've been telling you. I argued with him for like 3 years on his channel. If you go back there, you know how I will call people out on stuff that I don't agree with, right? Not that I'm saying they're wrong or I'm right. I just don't. I'm questioning them. You've seen that enough." So I would do that to Jaron. He spent like 5 hours one night trying to say, well, he's drawing how the sun goes around. Well, if you see it from this angle, it's out here. And it appears it goes that way, but it doesn't. He did it for 5. You know how he would go on for hours. Yeah. And so right before he left, I said, Jaron, I'm telling you. I said, since your stuff on Bro Sanchez and all that other stuff, I said, you really lost a lot of credibility. And, but you really think this? He's always saying, I never have any friends. You're my only friend. That's it. He said that to everybody, right? Yeah. And so then I told him, I said, Jaron, all we're asking for is a 24-hour live stream down there. That's all we want. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. 24-hour live stream. And this is like less than 8 hours before he had to take off and go. And I just told him, and when they act like, and then, do you remember Dave? What's his name? What's Sovereign Dave? When he was trying to do his live while they were there, and he's trying to say, guys, and he kept asking them a question, just a simple question. I don't know if you remember that when it was first got there, and they would ignore Dave.
I was with them there, and I actually sent 3 super chats to Whitsitt that morning. He didn't answer a 1, dude, not a 1.
So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then they just totally ignored this 24. So everybody asked me, do I think it's fake? I said, look, I don't care what happened there. I know that all we need is a 20. They do it right now. The guy's doing it in Murmansk, Russia, where he lives. He puts a 24-hour video sun out every year. He always does it. And last year he teamed up with a guy from Hawaii, and he said, okay, where's your son at? I'm looking at my son. And they do that every year. He only has like 300 people following him all these years. He's been doing it since at least 17 or 16. So, and I asked Jaron, that's what we want. Murmansk, do it there. And they didn't do it. So right there, that tells you it's not, in my mind, it's not real.
No.
Not real. They didn't do a 24-hour sun. End of story. It don't circle down there in my mind.
That's what I'm going to go down there and actually try to do. I want to live stream it out of Antarctica. I want to do a 24-hour live feed of the solstice. And nobody's delivered that to us yet. In the last 8 years that I've been asking people, I've had people offer me, like, we got video of it. I'm like, no, I want to get a live stream of it. You send me your video, but nobody ever sends me video, dude. Yeah.
Right.
I was on Facebook for a long time, and there are people in there. I go down to Antarctica every solstice, and I videotape the 24-hour sun. I said, wait, I got it on a file. I said, send me your file, man. I want to look at it. And I never get it sent to my email. I never had that happen yet. Yeah. Nobody's ever sent me a straight up, nonstop 24-hour feed of the live sun from Antarctica. That hadn't happened the whole time I've been here. Yeah.
My thing with that whole thing is that if the sun was only over you, and let's say you're down there and the sun is only going over your head, okay, and it's a globe. Now, let's say the sun is on the bottom of the globe. It would have to be, obviously. The sun is only around you. You're at the bottom of the globe. What would happen to above the equator if the sun was only on spinning over you in Antarctica? Would they get sun at all?
Well, no, they wouldn't, but they have this magic word they like to use a lot. You've heard of it?
Yes.
It's called refraction.
Yeah. And it's going to refract. The sun is magically going to, it's the furthest away from me, but it's magically going to refract itself through a physical ball object into the shade of where I am. I'm on the other side on the top of the ball, and you're on the bottom, and the sun is only spinning over you. I would never see the sun. The sun come out every day here. I saw the sun every day they were there.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Nope.
So then I thought about, okay, let's look at it on an FE map, on a flat map. So that means the sun is going in a circle. It's moving through the tropics. So right now it's close over me, meaning it's more towards the north and going around the north. And then as it moves, it's moving further south from me as the seasons move on. And winter becomes, where I am, becomes winter. In Australia and the very tip of South America and all those places are now in summertime because the sun is over them. Okay. So if the sun went down to just Antarctica and you saw the sun spinning over your head, how the hell did the sun come out where I am? So it doesn't work on that side either. So it doesn't work on either. Whether it's spinning over your head on the bottom of the globe doesn't work because I wouldn't see the sun. And if the sun was moving through the tropics and doing its circle, well, how did I see the sun and it was only spinning over you? So I wouldn't see the sun either because it's too far away. Refraction. I know.
I have to chastise you. Mikey Smith in here is just calling us silly people because we stay down. We're communicating. We know what it is, Mike.
Yeah.
You silly people, you get worked up on semantics. It's a little 6th grade, not 5th grade level. Sorry, So sorry it keeps getting you crazy that people say down.
I mean,
Okay.
we were having that argument with who was the other guy we were having the argument with? The guy a couple of nights ago who was saying that you can curve by going straight.
That was Brenda.
Wesley.
Wesley.
Everybody
Wesley.
said, I got several friends that are that are Globers, and they'll say, yeah, but it curves straight.
Yeah,
That's
no.
what he says. I said, really? I said, but they really think that. I'm telling this guy I golf with. He says, yeah, but it curves straight. It's a straight line, but it's curving. Because in his mind, you draw a straight line on the freaking. It's not talking about a parallel line.
Yeah.
You don't have any deviation. You're drawing around a globe.
Straight,
to him,
right
that's a
off of
straight line, but it curves.
Yeah.
You understand how they're thinking?
Well,
Yeah.
let me. Here's just a quick example. You're coming up on a hill, right? Say you're driving over a mountain, right? And you're coming up. You're driving straight, okay? And now the grade starts to climb up. What happens to your body? What happens to your upper body? Well,
Say that again.
I said, what happens to your upper body when you're going up the mountain? Well, your upper body leans back because the front of the car is lifting up. So what happens when you get to the
car.
top?
I was trying to picture myself walking up a mountain. Okay, I was trying to figure out what you were saying. A car, you're saying.
Yeah. Say you're driving the car and you're going up the mountain. What happens? The front of the car is raising up. Your upper body is tilting back because you're climbing. So you go over the peak of the hill. And what happens when you're going down the mountain?
Sure, you have a
The
little forward
opposite
motion.
effect. Yeah. So now your upper body leans forward and you can feel the force because you can feel yourself leaning forward because you're like, oh my God, when you're driving down a super steep hill that's scary.
I
So
did that
you're
yesterday.
telling, so you're telling, so my idea, it's as simple as it is you feel your body moving forward and tilting back when you're climbing and tilting forward when you're going down. But I can't, you're telling me that I can't feel when I'm in a plane, and the plane goes up to elevation, it goes perfectly flat. And I mean, every plane I've ever been in,
You would be feeling. I understand what you're trying to compare it to, and it would be magnified at least 10 times. Well, let's say we're going 60 miles an hour and the airplane's going 3, so at least 5 to 6 times it'd be magnified, 300 to 400 miles an hour. Yeah.
But
Wow. I like that analogy. That's very good.
You don't understand reference frames, D-man. I'm sorry.
Well, it's the positioning of your body. You would feel your body tilting forward or leaning back. Like when a plane starts to climb, You can feel you feel it because it's pushing you back into the seat. You feel it. You feel your inner balance gets weird when the plane takes off and starts to tilt up. Naturally, everybody gets all tensed out because you're just taking off and it tilts up and then it goes flat. And I've taken some long plane flights. Not once did I ever say, "Boy, this thing is tilting forward an awful lot. We must be going over the curve." It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He
You don't understand big spears, D man.
Yeah. I don't understand the mathematics. No, it's so stupid to think. Wait a minute, I could just get on the phone and go call somebody in Australia and say, "Hey, when you flew over to the United States, when you got in the plane, were you standing upside down? Did you feel like if I picked you up and stood you upside down, do you think you feel it? Of course you would." It's stupid. And the funny part is that they act like this isn't a valid thing to talk about. Like you wouldn't feel your body tilting down constantly.
And that's such simple logic as what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the simplest thing you could think of. Well, what would happen to your body as you were tilting down constantly?
These little blow up globes we have, they can blow them up, like a beach ball.
Yeah.
Okay, about in 2020, I thought, they're gonna be expensive. I went online and I was gonna buy 10 of them. Right? They're a good size. They're not quite the size of a basketball, but close. Right? Mm-hmm. 10 of them for $7. I said, okay, send me 10. And so I would carry them around inside the Costco's and stuff like that. And so I tried to tell people. And I used to be big on this one. If back in 2017, there was this guy who did this video and did a song saying, show me people upside down. Do you remember that song? It was very popular, Flat Earth songs. Show me of something, and it would be show me people standing upside down. Otherwise, from a satellite, right? You take a picture of the Earth, and if you zoomed in on it like they do with their supposedly GPS, you would be able to see someone standing upside down. And he says, no, when you get close, it does it. So I get the globe and I put a little man at the bottom of it, take my phone and take a picture. I said, how close do I got to zoom in before this guy stands straight up? Right? And they're going, what? I go, how close do I got to zoom in before this guy flips over and he's standing up? And I take the picture of the globe with the little guy standing at the bottom. I stand away a ways, then I take the picture, then I go and I blow up the picture and show it. I go, man, he's still upside down. How much more do I got to blow it up before he turns over? And it didn't work. But to me, it was almost as easy logic as what you were just saying, D-Man. You understand what I'm saying?
It's the most simple thought of, listen, you're going around the curve and you're coming down the side. What happens when you get to the equator? You're standing sideways.
Yeah. But you got to understand the center of gravity is always down.
Oh, well, always down. No, it would be to the side because I'm standing sideways.
Yeah.
So down would just be below my feet no matter what my orientation of my body is. If I'm standing at a 45-degree angle, come on, give me a fucking break.
It's something they can't really verify. There's no way to verify a center of Earth, center of gravity, that kind of thing. It's all due to speculation in their world, but they touted this fact. Well, I'm gonna play some more of this video, guys. You want to watch some?
Okay. Yes.
All right, Harmon. Yeah, you've seen it's almost over, but you know Rodney Mullen, right?
What's that?
The skateboarder Rodney Mullen. You ever heard of him?
No, I don't know him.
No, he's one that made freestyle like really popular in the mid '80s. He could really.
He's not the guy who they made the movie of, is he?
I don't know if they made a movie for Rodney.
They made of a real popular skateboarder. There's a movie out about him, like he started it. No, I might. Okay.
I don't know. There's a couple of movies.
So how old is this? How old is this video?
This is from the mid '80s, right here. What they're
okay.
What you're saying right now.
Did he grow up and then he still as an adult he did a lot of skateboard stuff as an adult?
Yeah, he's still doing it now. Yeah.
And that might be who I heard about then.
Yeah. He's a Powell Peralta skater. He kind of revolutionized the sport, you might say. Here you go. I'll give you some of Rodney.
Like most skaters at the time, Mullen skated a mix of styles, including some vert, before skateboarding became clearly delineated. Over the following years, he transitioned from freestyle to street, adapting his accumulated freestyle skills to street and inventing or expanding upon additional tricks in the process. Mullen enrolled in the chemical engineering program at the University of Florida, leaving during his senior year prior to completing his degree in order to take over management of World Industries with Steve Rocco. Throughout the 80s, Mullen invented many of skating's flip tricks. Mullen's tricks are now considered the essential building blocks of both modern street skateboarding and vert skateboarding. With skateboarding transforming itself in the early 90s to tech-style freestyle moves on the street, Rodney Mullen is now known as the godfather of street skateboarding.
5 most influential skaters: Tony Alva, Shogo Kubo, George Orton, Alan Galfin, Rodney Mullen. There you go. 5 most influential skateboarders of all time. We got to put a girl in there though too. So Laura Thornhill.
You got a girl?
Talking about skateboards, for Laura, is almost as exciting as riding one, or at least more exciting than talking about anything else. While relaxing with her friends after a good hour's workout on her board, she's enthusiastic and attentive when the talk is of new tricks or how she likes showing up the guys. But when the conversation wanders off onto other topics, she becomes restless and jumps back up to ride a while longer. It's only natural, because it is what she likes doing best. Laura is a relative newcomer to skateboarding. When she saw skateboards appearing around her hometown of Torrance, she decided they looked like fun and that she would like to try riding one. So for her 13th birthday, just a year and a half ago, she got her first skateboard and has been on it as much as possible ever since, which is, as she says, at least 3 hours every day. The amount of riding that Laura does shows in her style and grace. She does the tricks that the guys do: nose wheelies, 360s, kick turns, but with the flow and grace characteristic of the women skaters. She excels at the difficult wheelies, and her natural rhythm puts her on top in slalom. Freestyle is Laura's favorite style of riding. This all adds up to a style that is uniquely her own, although she is no doubt influenced by the styles of her favorite riders: Greg Weaver, Steve Cathy, Bruce Logan, Ty Page, and Chris Yandal. Quite an impressive and tasteful list. When Laura is learning a new trick, she devotes most of her time to it until she gets it down the way she thinks it should be done. She has no real teachers, but instead watches to see how a particular trick is done, then goes off by herself to practice. Her hardest trick is the spacewalk, and just the mentioning of this trick sends her back on her board to try it again. She'll have it wired in no time too. Laura's favorite place to ride is the reservoir, a mellow, sloped bowl where she likes to let loose. Laura says she's going to keep quiet about her Who's Hot until the magazine comes out. I'm not going to tell anyone, she says. I'm just going to let them see it for themselves. The same philosophy also applies for her riding. There's no need to say more, for we can see it all for ourselves.
Is she still doing it?
As far as I know, but we've come a long way since that. Yeah, it's been a while. This is like the early 80s, I think. You got the trophy for it.
It's no surprise that he picked skaters from his roots, the 70s. What is very interesting is how his 5 picks cover the entire spectrum, choosing perhaps the best overall, most stylish, most bionic, most innovative, and most technical, and then he actually added a sixth for diversity, a woman.
Like an art form. It's more like to not compare. It's more to appreciate others. I think it's all up to individuals, and that's why I think skateboarding is such a neat sport. It gives people a chance to express themselves in their own way, and it's an individual's type of sport, skateboarding.
Route is known as the alley in Everton. Every skater that I ever met wanted to actually go to the alleys and skate at one point in time. It's kind of cool. So, D-Man, you got another video back here, or is it the same one?
Who me?
No, Dennis. I was asking. He put a video in the back private chat. Is that the same video?
He must be gone away.
Dennis.
I'm sorry, I had it muted. I didn't realize because I was rattling things around. I didn't want to make noise.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's the same video. It's not the exact same one as that one, but it's a different one. It's the Dwayne Peters one, the biography one. It had a lot of good shots of there doing similar stuff like bowls and trick stuff, and from about the same era, late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s.
Yeah, I never got too many videos of myself skating, and if there are any, I don't have access to them. But they'd be nice to show if I had them. They're like, look what I can do.
What kind of cameras would you have had back then? What years are you talking about? So I can figure out.
84 to, I would say, almost 90, 91.
Yeah, in 84, you still had those big VCR cameras. Yeah, you would.
I had film cameras. I had a film camera in that era, 35 millimeter in August.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. Could you take video with it?
No,
that's what I'm talking about. Video.
I don't think video. I don't. Well, I mean, they had Super 8 and Super.
No, I'll tell you, they had the video cameras. I've had one, and you had to carry the VCR on a sling on your back, and you plug the camera into it. Trust me, I've always been into the newest shit, and it cost me a lot, but I still liked it.
It was a Panasonic.
Yeah, Panasonic, exactly. Sony tried to do it with the Beta, but the Beta fell out so quick.
Yeah, I
ran
the
V8S though. It changed with the JVC had that camcorder they put out, didn't they?
Yeah, the all-in ones. My cousin had one of those ones where you would put it over, you'd sling it over your back, and it had the cable up to the head.
Right, I had to. That's where I started. Then it went to the all-in-ones, like Roger just said. Hey, Roger, that song I was talking about, the Flat Earth song. I found it. It's by Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. You remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Where's the Curve, and it says, show me the something. I can't sing it like they do. It was the people standing upside down. And I tried. That was one of my things that I thought, well, this would make people understand. You know? It's under their channel, Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. Where's the Curve? And I like, you know what? How long you guys been in this? How long you been in it, Roger?
Well, I first heard of it probably in the mid 2000s.
Okay.
But I've been asking questions about just basic science since I was in school, dude. Like, and none of it made any sense to me. So it always kind of threw me for a loop. Like, how did everything work with gravity for the first bunch? And they would always give me an ad hoc excuse like centrifugal force or something like that. And then they test it out with a bucket and water. And I'm like, and I sit there and think about it like, this doesn't work. Well, then there's this force called gravity. Well, that's what I was asking about to start with. You know?
Yeah, loop back to it, did it?
Yeah, like, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me. So I've always had that question in my head, like, all right, it doesn't add up for what it's worth. And then they just tell you, oh, it's mass attracting mass, and you got to accept this planetary bull crap to go with it. It's not.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me. You're way ahead of me because you're mid 2000s. I mean, I was still worried about which football game was on next. You know, it's amazing when you get into this. I still like the stuff, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's weird. Football and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Football doesn't really matter to you anymore, does it? Like it's not inconsequential, you might say.
right? Yeah, I used to. If my Vikings lost, I wasn't in a good mood. Now it's like I don't know if some weeks I don't even know if they won or lost. You know, that's a big step for me. Okay, I was looking. I thought D-Man left.
No,
No,
I'm
you
still
meant-
here.
Yeah, no, it switched on my phone where you're at. That's why that confused me.
I heard it. I heard about somebody talking about it in the 90s because I was
really?
I was around a ton of people, and somebody started talking about it, and everybody kind of looked at him, including me, like you're a crackpot. But it wasn't detailed as it is today. Like it was just kind of like a passing comment, a comment that somebody made. And I think
Right.
maybe somebody had thought about it and kind of mentioned it to try to see what people would say about it. And of course, I reacted like everybody else. Like I looked at my friend, like, "What's this guy crazy?" But the funny part was, I about the same time as Roger, maybe mid 2000s.
Wow,
I
you guys are really on top of it.
I'd seen some stuff about it, showing old maps and stuff on the on other websites, but I had the same. Yeah, and I had the same idea. Like, okay, this is some crackpot shit. But then, I don't know, probably 2010, 2012, then I started to see some stuff floating around here and there on, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But I remembered that I had those conversations with those three people that had mentioned it to me years earlier. And I was like, let me check this out. I remember somebody, talked about this once. And of course, the first thing the guy started talking about was, that the pictures from the moon landing look fake as shit. And I kind of agreed with it because they did look fake, but I never thought about it in like a deceitful way. I never thought about it like, why would they do that? It's kind of stupid. It didn't cross my mind, probably because my mind didn't have the things to be able to kind of decipher it and think about it, or I was doing other things. You're hanging around with friends, somebody brings up a heavy conversation like that. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't the place to talk about it.
I got you.
That was the thing with me.
And my uncle, my step uncle, actually, his name's Jim Booth. He I think around 2008, 2009, he gave me a copy of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon.
What year?
It was like 2009 or something like it. Around
Okay,
2010.
okay. Yeah, that's.
So-
I'm just impressed how you're so early into it.
Well, he's a conspiracy theorist, as you would call it. The rest of the family thinks he's crazy as shit. So. Yeah.
I used to listen to Bill Cooper on the shortwave radio in the 90s. The Hour of Our Time, it was called, and Bill Cooper would talk about all the conspiracies and the stars and aliens, kind of like Art Bell, or And
yeah, he's the one that got killed in his front. The story is he got shot right there in his front porch.
Yeah, he got killed. Before that, I heard the show when he went on and told everybody on shortwave that this guy, Osama bin Laden, they're gonna do this. He even named the guy and said, "This is his name. This is the guy that they're gonna pin this shit onto. Watch." And it literally happened. And just at about that time when he started to talk about the 9/11, but pre 9/11, that attacks were going to come, and it was going to be because of this guy. Alex Jones popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then he really dogged Alex Jones out. Go ahead. I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
You bet your ass, because Alex Jones started to be like, he used. I think he was on local Texas TV on like a one of those community shows on cable or something, and I guess he was on a guest on there at one point, and he ripped Alex Jones a new a-hole, called him a rat, and said that he was a plant, and he didn't know what the hell.
Yeah, he called it out.
Oh yeah, and I mean he did not like him, and he never put him on the show again either. And then bam, then I heard the news that that Bill Cooper was shot in his front yard. I guess the federal agents were coming for him, obviously.
Yeah,
and they don't just
they've done that several times to people.
Yeah, they don't just come for you because you've done nothing, because you don't know anything.
Right.
They come after him because he had connections. His father, Bill Cooper's dad,
I didn't know.
was a big naval. He was like a captain or one of those big muckety mucks in the Navy.
Yeah, captain I think admiral. Is it admiral? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what their ranks are. I think admirals might be like
his
general.
father knew about it.
Yeah, if somebody has the control of a fleet, it's called an admiral. Yes.
Okay.
His father
So I
was
wanted you to finish your story, Roger, about you got in that book. You didn't get to finish it. You got it in 2009. And what happened when you got that book?
It was a video. He gave me the actual.
Oh, I thought
video.
you had a book.
No,
Okay, a video.
So I took it. I went to. I was staying in a camper. I was working in California. I took the video, took it in the camper, and I watched it once. That night I got it. I'm like, man, that's interesting. So they would actually fake low Earth orbit, and then I watched it again, and like I started picking the whole thing apart, and like it dawned on me like there's no such thing as space travel. Basically, it just they mock it up, man. They make it. Then I heard Eric Dubay put out 200 proofs. He put it out on YouTube. I got it off a YouTube channel, and then I got a hold of IFRS because I heard he had IFRS, and I started talking to people in IFRS and talking about it, and they started showing me basically how these proofs are actually validatable for yourself. You can go out and test some of this shit for yourself. So I started doing that, and then YouTube took off, and then boom, all this giant flood of flat earthers just appeared out of nowhere, dude. And they started putting content on. There's some really good content that was being put out, like straight up proofs, And I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I got involved in it, and I started going on Facebook, talking in flat earth groups and stuff. And I ran into a guy named Bob the Science Guy, and I heard his excuses for how this is bunk and stuff. And I like, no. And I asked questions back to him in his chat. He never really answered me to speak of, and I'd banter back and forth with guys in the chat, and then they like, oh, I see what you're saying, dude, and they leave Bob's little network. I do that on a weekly. Then I ran into a guy named Nathan Oakley. He had this thing called the Flat Earth Debate. I'm like, oh, I want to hear what he's got to say about it. Then I went through all his housekeeping questions. And is there any scientific proof for a molten iron core? Is there any scientific proof of axial rotation? Is there any scientific proof for gas pressure without containment? There's like 7 of them. They've added more to the list over the years, but there's nobody ever refuted any of their claims in this process. So it's a solid foundation. Basically, that I got out of it. I just took the information. I don't worship Nathan Oakley. I don't worship the FED, but I get a lot out of the panel. They talk to me. They tell me when they find new stuff that prove their points. And the last one was pitch data.
What was the last one?
Pitch data.
I don't know what that is. Oh, the pitch of an airplane?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that one very well.
They take data readings off a plane and they add it to the black box. The MSDS does this. It's federally mandated, but it shows a horizontal flight from point to takeoff to landing. And it's hard to get a hold of it, but they do offer it to the public if there's like an accident or they have to land a plane for an emergency.
NTSB.
Yeah, NTSB, sorry. And if you look at the data, they have to maintain a speed to keep their pitch. And the gyro has always pulled a straight horizontal line across it. You don't get a dip for a curve. There is no evidence in the data to show they're going over a sphere. It's a straight horizontal shot. And the last one we got from them was 2,000 miles worth. So they analyzed it 200 miles at a time, looking for a deviation over the said radius of the Earth, and we do not get that. We get a straight horizontal from landing to takeoff.
Yep.
Or takeoff to landing.
Yeah, well, it'll climb to get up to the elevation that it wants to level flight at. And then it'll just level flight until they kick that autopilot off when they have to descend.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. And the gyro doesn't deviate from the horizontal it's set from takeoff.
Yeah.
They have to keep that rate. Yeah.
But that right there, you tell somebody, and it just pings off their head. It just can't. There's no comprehension level on it, right? I mean, it just doesn't.
Well, that's what they want to believe.
Yeah.
It's not reality. It's just what they want to believe. They're making their own reality. It's not. It doesn't apply. They're not applying it to real situations, real physical situations, because they're not physically doing it. All they would have to do is go get on a plane and fly from here to Germany.
Yeah, and when
That's
they
it.
do this, when they do this data, they actually treat the world as a stationary, unmovable plane.
Yeah.
They don't calculate any of the speed of the spin. There's no proof that it does move.
Yeah.
It's like they're flying over a stationary plane.
Soft cracked a joke yesterday about, boy, how are they going 1,000 miles from Iran to, what do you call it? I mean, they must be compensating for the curve.
You and Roger, Dean, just said two things on your stories. One of you're the Bill Cooper. Then after that, when Roger was giving his story, how he started listening, then all of a sudden started getting flooded. Did you guys watch Black Light and Eric DeBay's interview?
Yeah, we did. I did.
Okay. And it just hit me so hard. Eric DeBay starts talking about he was writing books about about the Atlantic conspiracy. He wrote those in 2008. And he's always been a conspiracy. You could see his trail. And that interview really helped me a lot remembering the things he's done. And in 2010, he put out some more stuff, another book. Then 2012, he put out another book. Then in 2014 in November, that's when he put out, what was his first book? Do we know? Was it the 200? It wasn't the 200 Proofs, was it? No.
Asbestos Head was the first book he wrote.
Yeah, no, that was way back then. I'm talking about on Flat Earth. On the Flat Earth. He wrote the Asbestos Head and stuff like in 2010.
He wrote 200 Proofs, and he republished it as a children's novel.
So my point is that, and so he put it out in November of 2014, right?
Yeah.
And who was? Yeah, it was you, Roger. Just got you saying that you're listening to this stuff, and then D-Man said about Bill Cooper, all of a sudden he's bringing this stuff. Then you have people like Alex Jones and all these guys popping up, right? And so he got so mad and called out Alex Jones. So if that story runs true and Eric DeBay was really doing the work, the groundwork, and then all someone just pops up in a week and hasn't done any study, and then he puts his shit on the videos, and Eric DeBay goes, where you been? I've been looking for people forever, and now you got all this stuff. So that's why he called out these people so much. And I loved it on Blacklight's channel on Eric's channel when he interviewed Blacklight, either way. And we pointed it out. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it's kind of shilly. If you want to define it as that, yeah, it seemed like they were propped up right away. Money-wise, viewer-wise, everybody was all over their proverbial.
Yeah, Mark got on a radio show that was it. He's still on it. There was the Truth Frequency Network or something, TFN or something. It was like they were on it already. Boom. And then we know now that Jaron had to buy all those subs. Those subs weren't real. There's no way he didn't have enough activity on his channel to have that 130,000 subs. Just no way.
Well, Glowbusters is a good platform to get subs. I got to give you that much. They do have a lot of followers.
Yep.
And I actually met a few of the people that are involved with Glowbusters that are actually, I would actually call them flat earthers, dude. Glowbusters isn't all compromised, but Jaron was compromised with TFE. I think that was his, or even with the other guy, Robbie Davison, when he did over the curve, whatever. Yeah, that was definitely a hit piece. And I called Jaron out on his Speaker's Corner with that when he did that shit. And I told him last time I talked to him on Speaker's Corner to have fun with his next hit piece. That would be the TFE. And he got mad at me. He overtalked me and just basically shut me off.
Yeah, he already knew. He's already been compromised by then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you called him. You beat him to the punchline. That's very good.
Yeah, my big jump was Bob Nodell. I found Glowbusters by accident, and I listened to an entire show of the original crew on Glowbusters with Bob Nodell. I think it was then it went to Rodrigo Ferrari and Iru Landucci, and then they brought Jaron in, and they got rid of a few guys that disappeared, and a few other guys disappeared too. I think one of them got arrested for something. John the Morguile, something happened to him. He got arrested.
Well. I've been listening to him for a long time.
For something, and I that's when I kind of started to listen to it regularly, just because I had a curiosity. I didn't believe it 100%, but I listened to it because I found it was a different way to look at things, and it was interesting. So I'm not the type of person that's going to judge for no reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I listen to some of those lefty shows. I listen to some of those Globey shows too.
Yeah, I
Some of
didn't.
them
I
too.
don't think I listened to more than. I was never a Globebuster fan, so I never listened to more than probably 3 in my whole life. But they sure had a good format when it was in its heyday. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Morgiles, I just got an email from him 3 days ago, asking for money again. I'm going, and the guy is so shot out right now. He is.
Well, there's reasons, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say them.
Oh, because of drugs, you mean?
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
what I mean.
yeah. No, that's. I mean, you look. Have you seen his videos in the last month or two?
I haven't watched any. I get it up in my stream every once in a while. It'll pop in here. Like
Yeah, it's sad.
He was
Yeah.
really good when he used to go on Globebusters. I really liked him. I liked
Very
him.
intelligent. Very
Really?
intelligent.
Iro Landucci was really cool too because he's I think he was from Portugal. I forget where he was from, and he would go.
Piero
across-
Landucci. I thought it was. I thought South America. So I don't know. You
I don't
say
know, I could be
Portugal?
wrong on that. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. I don't know, but I thought he was pretty interesting too. And of course, Rodrigo Ferrari, he was real good. They had a bunch of great people on there. Like I said, that kind of opened my eyes. But I didn't take all of it. But I didn't believe all of it. But I had an open mind to it. So I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting to listen to. So at night, I would turn it on and lay in bed before I crashed out, and I would listen to the whole show and then shut it off and go to bed.
Well, you're like a sponge there, you know. Like,
Yeah, why wouldn't you be curious about something that sounded that wacky? If you were a new guy and you listened to it, my thing is that it sounded a little crazy until I started to actually think about it and say, yeah, that actually does kind of make some sense. That's how my mind works about things. I just don't shit on it because I hear it. I can suck it in and not make any decision on any of it and kind of store it in the memory. And you never know. Some things might come out and your opinion on things might change.
Yeah, I started in 2000. Well, 16 I heard first things, but 17 was, but I never called in, never made a comment till like 2021. No one even knew who I was. What's that? Something wrong?
oh, you just went out for a second. You
Oh,
roboted
I
out.
said, yeah. 2017. Am I good now?
Yeah,
You're
you're
good.
good.
So it's 2017. So until 2021, I never called in like this. I never made a comment, never made a message or anything. So for the first four years, I never said anything. So then I started calling in and stuff until then. So like you said you just sit there and listen. That's very smart of you.
Oh, I've got some
D-Mac.
friends that won't do that. They'll bring stuff up. They'll bring stuff up just to poke at me about me listening to those shows. I have friends that would just give me crap about it and say, "What was that shit you were listening to that you posted the other night?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? What, the thing about your how your eyes work?" And he was like, "Yeah. What the fuck was all that shit? This stupid shit." I said, you can see the curve. You can see the curve over the ocean. They were showing the picture of the oil platforms that was spaced out, and I posted it on I think on Steam. I think I posted it on like the Steam website. My friend saw it. This other guy I know.
So you took Huey's Black Swan photo and posted it on Steam.
Yeah. I took it and put it on. Well, I put it on my page, on my user page on Steam, and I put the link there just so that I wouldn't lose it because I was on Steam. So I was like, all right, I'll just put it there and just stash it on the side. But I didn't realize I put it so everybody could see it. And I said, what the hell was that shit that you posted on there? What was that link you threw on there? That stupid thing with the things going over the water? And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I don't know. It looks like some oil platforms and telephone poles and shit.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And I said, oh no. I said, it's they're showing how you when you see things and they're going away from you. I said, and that's a great example of how things look when they're when you're looking out at something. There's telephone poles, and the telephone poles are on the side of you, and they're going away from you. And that was all I said to him. And he sat there for 15 minutes and literally just berated me about, what are you, one of those crackpot flat earther douchebags? And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, that's how you see. What the hell does that have to do with anything, with any of this other shit? I said, that's what it does when you see. I said, when you're standing in a hallway, do the walls do that? And he was like, well, of course. I said, then then what the hell are you giving me shit about?
That's
You're just-
perspective, man.
Yeah, it's perspective. That's how your eyes work.
And did this happen the other day?
No, this happened a long time ago.
Oh, I thought this was just the other day.
But my friend started to give me shit about posting that video. So whenever we would be talking with a group of guys or something, and somebody would mention a little comment about something or say, just whatever, he would poke at me and bring up, oh, you mean like that video, like that video D put up there? Telephone pole shit. Yeah, he's into that shit. Go ahead, D. Why don't you talk to him about it? Like, oh my God, here we go.
Put you on the spot. Yeah.
Well, because he tried to make me look like a crackpot.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not crackpot. You're seeing it with your own fucking eyes. But trying to get somebody, everybody's perception is different. So some people are not going to see it. Some people are not going to see any value in something that you might have some interest in. So I stopped definitely putting any links, using Steam's chat box for links.
Good idea.
Oh yeah,
that is funny.
So I didn't have to listen to everybody giving me shit about it.
I got this golfing buddy. Always needs favor. He always needs the favors doing stuff. And I've been golfing with him for 10 years. 4 times a week and stuff. And I've brought up the flat earth. I brought up the sun sometimes and stuff. And he's getting to where he just totally hates it, right? And I'm very calm about it. So one day there was cloudy and the sun's crepuscular rays were coming through. I said, hey, look at the sun. He had a 6-iron in his hand. He took that and got so shut the fuck up about suns. And he threw his club so far stuck in a tree, getting mad. And then one day he's going with me and I'm going, he goes, Harmon, I like you a lot. You help me do everything, but you are the stupidest person I've ever met. And he meant it.
It's not a journey for all, I guess. Some people.
Oh, it's so fun. But I laughed about it. I didn't take offense to it. I just thought
either. But it just it was kid-like the way he was poking at you about it. You know what I mean? Like it's kid.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at his Who Cares commentary. You guys want to take a look at it?
Yes.
Since that D put it in there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good video. It shows a lot of the stuff that you were watching. Bowl skaters.
I like to see it.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to close it out in like 15 minutes or so after this.
Okay. After this is over, I'm gonna go now and let you guys finish it off. And thank you for letting me on, Roger.
Have a good one, Howard.
No problem, man. The door's open. You noticed that, right?
Yes. Okay. Take care.
All right. You too, man.
You were hated. Dwayne took on the idea and the feeling of that time. It was rebellious, it was aggressive, and it was on edge. It's not the way it is now. Now it's
Lance Mount.
league.
Unlike the way skateboarders are perceived today, the skaters of the 80s were never taken seriously for their courage. They got no love and no sympathy for the frustration from being banned in the streets and on the sidewalks where their boards were born.
You against the world, you against your parents, you against every 7-Eleven clerk. I mean, if you had your skateboard, you were marked.
There weren't as many contests, there was no money to be made in it. Not that anyone did it for that, but it was just like the whole thing kind of petered out a little bit.
During the early 80s, Dwayne was at his competitive best as the widespread popularity of skateboarding descended into a downhill slide. These were the days when Dwayne did what the skateboard world remembers him for. He made the park era come to life. With a Nazi-like appearance and a fuck you attitude, he grabbed skateboarding by the balls and gave it back to the skaters.
The whole attitude of Thrasher came out of Dwayne and Olson's persona.
There's one person that reminds me of Dwayne. You ever heard of a guy named Naudus Copus?
I think so.
Yeah, he's a lot like him. He brought it to the street.
That was the magazine that my friend had. He had Thrasher. We would sit and look at it. Yeah, I sat there and watched, and I was like, "Look at this guy! Look at this dude. He's all scabbed up and beat up and scarred out. He looks like hungover. Like he don't want to be there, kind of, And I always, for some weird reason, always kind of, whenever anybody talk about it, be like, "Yeah, Dwayne Peters is."
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. He was a big rock and roll guy too. He had bands and stuff.
Oh yeah, I never got any boards by him. I don't think did he go? He was pro, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Competition. He was around when pre the ramp skaters, pre-ramp. That's
back in the park days.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're bringing them back now. If you go out, I go out now, and there's like 6 parks in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
Just
we
about.
don't got them here, but I know that in Boston they have them all over the place. They have them all over the place. Boston now, a few towns.
Yeah, I went out to 2 of them here, and I ran into some kids that skate. But now what's happening is that those razors, those inline scooter things, they're
Yeah.
taking over. Like,
Yeah.
and they're getting good, man.
Yep.
They're doing tricks that are amazing, actually.
Yep.
I've made fun of people that rode those things.
But it's amazing that I looked at that magazine and that was the first guy I fucking saw. And I was like, holy shit, look at this dude. Look, he looks rough.
Yeah, I was never a Thrasher fan. The magazine I got was Transworld because it was always thicker, had more color photos. Yeah. There's the 2 major magazines for skateboarding. It was Transworld and Thrasher were the ones when I was growing up.
Every time he would come back from California, he would just bring He would buy every kind of magazine you could find, anything freestyle or skating. He would come back with tons of magazines. Call me, hey, come on down. I got a ton of magazines. And we'd sit at his house and eat turkey sandwiches and look at the magazines. That's what we would do.
Yeah, it's fun, I guess. Yeah, we do. We try to like figure out how they got to what they were doing to try to get the trick down. And there were some articles in there. They show you how to do the tricks that they were doing.
I never saw those magazines in stores. You couldn't go to places and buy that. My friend would go to California and buy them out there and bring them back. That was the only way I ever got to see those magazines because that wasn't a thing in Boston. Like there was no skater magazines in Boston.
Yeah. No, it was illegal when I got arrested one time. They took me down to the station. They didn't book me, but they had called my parents. Yeah, I got busted. It's posted, man. If it's posted, and I didn't know anything about law back then when I was growing up. They just took me downtown for skating at a place called Ardan's. They had a bank in the back with a transition to it and to a loading dock. We would skate that. And it's posted. Arden's was a favorite spot everybody went to, but they busted me there. Called my dad, had him come down and get me. Yeah, that's embarrassing though. But they did not encourage you public skating when I was.
Oh yeah. I mean, we used to, we ride the bikes around and just hang out in places, and we used to get kicked out of places like parks and stuff because they had time limits. You couldn't be in the park past a certain time.
Yeah.
If the sun started to go down, you had to be out of all the city parks. You couldn't hang out at all. So.
Well, that's when nobody's there, though. I mean, what are they keeping from you?
Well, it's because they thought we would be drinking or destroying shit or lighting fires. People did go to the same places we went and would, disrespectful to the place. They would do stupid shit and drink beers and get in fights.
Andrew wants to come on. Hey, you want to have a Andrew?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I know Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
What's up, Andrew?
Hey, cheers, gentlemen. I just got off work, so I figured this would be my very first time breaking the Roger Cherry.
Yeah, there you go. He was hesitant to say it, though.
Well, I mean, I was trying to think of a proper way to say it, and that just kind of came out. I just booked the first long load for the night, so.
So how are you doing tonight, Andrew?
I am doing wonderful. Yeah, I was just doing all of my classroom bullshit, but
all the students
I'm a little bit late into the conversation. I'm not really sure what's happening at the moment.
We're talking about skating.
Yeah.
Skating. Oh, yeah. Great way to break your fucking leg.
Yep.
Yeah, I never broke my leg, though. I haven't. I broke a thumb once.
Well, Roger, you should hop on to our tinfoil sombrero one day because Rico used to skate quite a bit. And, I'm not really sure if you've ever heard our stream before, but.
I have. I've been on, I've seen a couple of them, a few here and there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I've talked to Lowry. He's come on and watched the stream a couple of times, and he's around in the chat.
Right,
he's been at Sobs, so I've got a chance to meet most of the family over there, you might say. But as it goes, I've never been on their show except yesterday when I went out to.
I was going to ask you, how was it?
Well, it was interesting, man. It was a longer drive than I thought it was going to be. It was like an hour and 40 minutes to get there. And it's out in the middle of nowhere, man. This guy's got a farm up, and you can actually see Pikes Peak. It's about 50 miles from where
they had the race yesterday. Day before
did?
yesterday, Pikes Peak. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can see the whole mountain, base
Wow.
to top, man, from his farm there. And I'm like, we're out there right where they did that null experiment they did with the celestial observation. And like, the doctor's got to live around here somewhere, doesn't he? They didn't tell me where he lives at. So, Lowry brought me on with him when I went out there. Brought him on his stream.
Yeah, I saw you with Nico.
It was fun. Yeah, but they had a little bit of food. Talked to Lowry for a minute. Got to meet everybody. I had to come back because I was doing a stream that night, and I didn't make it back in time. Really, I got stuck in downtown Denver because they're doing road construction, and at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm sitting there like an hour in traffic, just sitting there. I'm not going to get back. Yeah, it was what it was.
Yeah, it was probably fun though. It was experience.
Yeah, I got to meet the actual people I've talked to online. I don't get to do that very often. I got to meet Mikey Smith, the guy that was in chat earlier. He came out here. He was going to make observations down that way to Colorado Springs, but he didn't make it neither. He got stuck in traffic outside of Denver too.
Oh, the photo guy, the guy that you had on with the photos. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it's actually super cool. The first time, it was actually before Flattoberfest when I actually I met Jaron for the first time. We went out back before he turned into a turd, and we did some tests and stuff like that on the beach. And then it's just really cool when you actually meet people for the first time. People you've been talking to for a long time online. Then it's all like, oh, you're a real person. You're not like an AI. Like whatever.
That was kind of the joke when I got there. Lowry had to shake my hand in front of the camera, like he's not AI.
Well, nowadays you have to kind of do that.
It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's getting to that point.
Yeah, well, people can play with videos, man. That's always been with photos, videos. They doctor history that way too,
Oh yeah, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah, it makes you ask questions about this Iran Tehran affair with Israel. Is that really happening the way you're looking at it on TV?
I read something today that says otherwise.
Yeah, could
got
be.
me to think about it a little bit.
Well, that's a good point, because when the whole Ukraine-Russia thing first started going off, people were posting videos of like, no, that's Call of Duty.
Yeah,
they were just basically showing like, hey, I can do the exact same thing in Call of Duty in the exact same location and make it look almost identical, even though there's a little bit of AI involved in like where the missiles are dropping and explosions and
I know what game they were using when those videos were
Call of Duty, or something else.
Another one was called Arma 3, ARMA, and they were using those clips for some fake news shit that was on the internet too, because I recognized how the some of the vehicles looked, and I said, no, that's Arma 3 because I played that game. And I was like, son of a bitch, look at that. They're using it. So I went on the comment and said, that isn't real. That's Arma 3. And somebody was like, holy shit, no kidding. I was like, yeah, go watch some videos on Arma 3. They literally took a video from YouTube and then clipped it out and said, yeah, this is the Ukraine. And I was like, bullshit. Bullshit. I watched that video. Yeah, it's a battle simulator. Arma is more of Call of Duty is more kind of a. There's another game too called Battlefield. Call of Duty is kind of similar, but Arma is a true simulator, meaning that everything on that game has to be controlled, meaning like you have tank drivers, you have guys with trucks, fuel trucks, you have to resupply everything, and people get hurt. Everything is simulated in that game. It's one of those games where they try to make it as realistic as humanly possible, meaning like the tank isn't just going to drive forever. The helicopter is going to have to be refueled.
I got you.
Like it's a simulator, where COD is more like a fixed kind of game. You go over to a box and you hit it, it opens up and gives you ammo. Like Arma is more like you have to have guys come up and bring you ammo You know what I mean? It's more like a simulator. So that was the game that I found that they were using a few of those Ukraine clips on, and I knew what it was immediately because I played Arma. You know, I was like, son of a bitch, that's Arma. That isn't real.
Yeah, there was a guy named John Laban who actually went to Ukraine when this first started, and he was doing like live streams from outside of Ukraine, just right over the border from the capital.
Yeah.
And none of the stuff that they were reporting during the time he was there was actually happening. Literally, he's right over watching the city, and every time they'd have like a major firefight or an explosion at a hospital or whatever they're reporting on the news, he would do a live stream that day, and he would show the actual city. Yeah, what it wasn't happening. So that whole war was like media based or whatever that.
The first thing I seen of that was this British guy called Bald and Bankrupt. He had a video. He had a channel. I think it's still on YouTube. And he went right up to the border of the Donbass and did a whole video, I think an hour-long video showing all the buildings shot up and he literally got to talk to some soldiers too, which I thought was kind of interesting. And that was the first I had heard of that conflict at all. I never even looked into any of it until Bald and Bankrupt went to the Donbass.
Well, that's the problem, though, is that a lot of people don't hear about the conflicts until Fox or CNN or some other bullshit, they start talking about it because the people that are over there are not allowed to talk about it. And
it's all kept in hush hush and under the rug, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I know that from personal experience. And you guys have probably heard me talk about this on Sob's channel, where I did 3 combat deployments, and I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but at least it was an experience for me to the point where I know what to look for. Now I do. Yeah. And I can still be misled. They're getting better and better and better and changing their methods. But just because you see it on TV doesn't mean it's actually happening. Yeah. Or if it is happening, it may not necessarily be happening the way that they're telling you.
All that tech for the AI shit is all through video gaming. That's how because of the graphical technology that they got through getting info by creating video games. That's what fuels AI. It's all video games. They're able to just create that stuff. I mean, obviously through computers, but the graphical performance has become so realistic and lifelike that it's hard to sometimes figure out if it is real or not. I mean, there's still signs that I see in certain videos where I can tell it's AI. I can tell immediately, but some of it you can't. Like this new shit where you can just type shit in and create stuff right off the bat and it'll auto create anything. I've seen where they have AI bands now. There's a band that's modeled from the 1960s band, the Stooges. And it's literally modeled after them and the Ramones together. So if you took the Stooges and the Ramones and put them together, they created an AI band that has a full album and they're not real. And I was like, yeah, this is how it's probably been this way for 10 years. They were probably creating AI music 10 years ago and we didn't know about it. So I was like, well, throw it any individuality, because that means that, you're not going to see, I could just go into the computer and say, create a song about this and that and this and that and that and this, and boom, now you got a song. You didn't have to create anything. My friend one time tried to argue with me that he made a song on his phone. And I said, oh, really? You made a song? I said, you record it and play the guitar and do whatever. He was like, no. I got a program on the phone. I said, well, you didn't make anything. You just swiped your finger. It's not making anything. You took somebody else's shit, a clip from somebody else, and chopped it up and made a song out of it. You didn't sing on it. You didn't play anything. You didn't make it.
Makes you a hack.
Yeah, you just swiped your finger on a phone on a program you got that had pre-recorded clips on it and put them together. You didn't create anything.
Yeah. Well, what we've been saying on Flats is with TFE that they use the Unreal Engine to prop up their trip with. In other words, they can make anything happen with Unreal Engine.
Yeah. Unreal Engine is what they use to create video games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're just using the technology that I've been dabbling in 30 plus years, except now it's so elevated to the point that it's even hard to figure out what's real and not real.
Yeah.
And that's through video game technology.
Well, the government would like to have something like that, wouldn't they?
Oh, hell yeah. Are you shitting me? Of course they would, because they can create anything and throw it on TV, kind of like War of the Worlds. You know, War of the Worlds was fake. Yeah, War of the Worlds was fake. They throw it on TV, and people jumped off of buildings. People killed each other. People drove their cars off of cliffs. That shit really happened because they thought it was the end of the world. You know,
Well, we got another visitor. Who do we got here? Oh, Andrew.
I'm
Is that you?
just sharing my screen real quick. It's only
Oh, okay.
wow, it's 33 seconds. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
But
Is that Michael Jackson?
Yeah, this is a hologram.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have heard about this, but this is an actual recording of it, where, yeah, even though he's allegedly dead, quote unquote, but here you go. 33 seconds.
that screen kind of tell it's a screen.
Yeah, to a point.
Yeah.
You see the horizontal line at the bottom too. But I mean, I've seen other holograms that are even better than Michael Jackson's. Though.
Well, yeah, but that was recorded from like an iPhone or something. If you saw it in person, it would probably look a lot better.
Oh yeah, all that shit is the old video game technology shit.
And that technology has been around. They've been doing the same thing, like hologram Jesus, hologram Muhammad, hologram like fucking whatever.
Well, wasn't that what Bluebeam was?
Yes.
Bluebeam was supposed to be. They would show images of all the body cards for all over the place and get people to think it was the end of the world.
Well, did they do that in China with the floating cities?
Yeah, I remember seeing that from the bridge where the lady was taking the photo from the bridge and the fucking city disappeared. It was out in the ocean. Is actually where it was.
Strange.
Yeah.
Why go through so much trouble to do that?
Well, it's control. They can use that to sway you into whatever belief they want.
I think it's to get people involved with just being associated with, like, oh, it's no big deal. We know it's fake.
Yeah.
And then when it actually is,
then you won't know it.
Yeah.
Or
so
you
like-
just say, "Oh, it's nothing," and then you'll get killed right in front of somebody.
Yeah, like the whole scamdemic thing that happened as well. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Just like put a face mask on.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Just like let's put a needle in your arm. It's just social conditioning.
My cousin got it, and within 3 months he had Marchand's disease. That fucking his face started sinking.
Ooh.
Like not a stroke, but like all the muscles in his face were fucking stopped working. Like he didn't have a stroke, but he got that weird facial thing. And
Did
then
he ever recover from it, or is it like?
Yeah, he
permanent?
recovered from it, and then went and got 2 boosters.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Right? That should tell you. I'm talking to my sister when I would talk bad about family, but I thought to myself, if that just happened to me, I sure as hell wouldn't say, "Boy, I should go back and get more."
Yeah.
It just happened that this happened right after you got the shot. My mother almost died from the flu shot. My mother got the flu shot, and within a week, she was in the hospital for like 4 days. She almost died. And I told her, I said, "You got the flu shot. Why are you getting the flu shot? Every time you get it, you get sick. Don't get the flu shot. You won't get sick." And she stopped getting the flu shot. The doctor wanted her to get it, and she was like, "No, I don't want to get it." And she never got
she's not
sick.
sick anymore, is she?
And I was like, "Boy, isn't that a coincidence, huh?" I said, "All those people took the polio shot. They all got polio." I said, "Don't you see that's they're making you sick because now you can go to them and say, 'I need help. Give me something to help.'"
Punk rock underground.
Oh, hold on. That started. I didn't do that.
Right, it's a great video.
Sorry about that. Now, hold on a second. There's something happening with my computer right now. I just shut down a couple of things.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Movement.
The fact that Dwayne was around and practically a mascot for Thrasher magazine. I mean, just the epitome of the attitude and where it was coming from.
The name Thrasher, I
Yeah, that did it by itself. I didn't start the stream. So that's really
Damn
somebody
you,
got-
technology! Damn you!
Yeah, I put a Norton antivirus on my computer because some people have got in my back door and got information on me and stuff. So, I'm pretty sure it's going to tell me something in a minute. Something's wrong. I'll check my antivirus right quick.
Yeah, I've been messing with computers. I was messing with computers at 11 years old. So 1984. 1983, I was messing with computers. So I've been on them for a long time. It's going to be a long
Fuck,
time.
I was born in '83, January 6th.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was born in 73.
Well, yeah, my birthday's fucked now. Every other day. Oh, January 6th. I'm like, that's my fucking birthday, assholes. Fucking ass.
Ruined my day.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. My ex-wife, her birthday is 9/11/65.
All right.
And we were in Denny's, actually. We were working when it happened. That's where I watched the event unfold on television. And she looked up at me. She goes, "They have ruined my birthday." She was pissed as hell, dude.
I was hungover, and my boss had called me on the phone. I thought he was going to ask me to go to work. And I remember I was living with my parents. My mother said, "Your boss is on the phone," and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm hungover." I don't want to go to work because I was still drinking back then, and I thought, "Fuck, all right, let me get up and put my clothes on." Tell him, hold on. So I went and threw my clothes on I had from the day before, like my work clothes. I'm like, "All right, come on." Like, "All right, where do you need me?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't need you anyway. You got today off." And I was like, "Oh, all right, good." He goes, "Turn on the TV," and I was like, "What for?" And he's like, some planes crashed in a building. I was like, who fucking cares? I'm going back to bed, just on the phone up. I swear, that's literally how I thought. I was like, who cares? And then later on, the TV, I'd walked downstairs. My mother said, yeah, there's some crazy shit going on. Some planes crashed in some buildings in New York City. I was like, no shit. I don't think I went over to the TV. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was just some, random thing. I didn't even ask where it was. I was like, who cares? I'm hungover. I don't care.
We've only got like 2.5 more months until that anniversary comes up again. That's going to be.
They'll be dragging that over our heads forever.
I know. It's a bunch of nonsense. I was in the military when that bullshit happened. Yeah. Man, you should have seen what happened on military bases. Oof.
We had one not far away. A reserve, Army Reserve. They shut the rotary down that was near it. They closed it all off and had vehicles and shit all over the place in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything from my antivirus. They've scanned it to 50% so far, and nothing.
I bought a mini PC. I know you gotta get going, Roger. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine, man.
I bought one of those little friggin' mini PCs. It's like literally, it's got to be like 4 inches by 4 inches, little cube thing. I haven't tried it yet. I might mess with it tomorrow night.
Is it called a Raspberry by chance?
It's kind of like that, but it's a Intel. It's like an Intel quad core. It's like like an all-in-one. It's just tiny little box. It comes with a bracket, so you can mount it behind your TV or mount it behind your monitor, so you don't even literally see it. I got it for $109, and I used a coupon. I got it for $94 on Amazon. It's got Windows 11 in it. And
how much memory does it got in the RAM?
I think it's got 16. It's 4 cores. I think it's 2 cores, 4 threads, or 4 cores, 4 threads, and it's 16 gigs. It's got an eMMC drive in it. If you flip it over, it's got a bay on the bottom. You take it off, and then you can put a like an NVMe hard drive, the like little slot cards.
For video.
I bought a drive for it. I just haven't done anything with it because the heat's been atrocious here. So, but I might mess with it. Maybe tomorrow night I might mess with it.
Well, if you need any help with that kind of stuff, I happen to know a little bit about computers. But...
Oh man, I've been building machines all my life.
Oh, okay, cool.
I started building machines in like 2008. I built my last 2 decent machines I've had, except right now I got a laptop. It's not.
I got 2. I'm sorry. I got 2 out of today.
Go ahead.
I got 2 computers out of the trash yesterday.
Nice.
There's trash there around here. So I was going down the middle of town to go get a cup of coffee. Excuse me, yesterday, Sunday.
So what are you going to do with them? You're taking the processors out of them?
Yeah. The other one's really old. I stripped the CPU out, took the power supply out, got the heatsink off, got the CPU heatsink out of it, got the vid card out of it. The case I can reuse, but the board's too old. I'm probably not going to do anything with it. I'll probably sell the CPU and original power supply and pull all that stuff out. I might modify the case and put something else in it. The other one's a Dell. It's a real nice one. It's kind of newish Dell. It's like 2014, 2015. I got Linux on it. Matter of fact, the last two Saab shows, that's what I used.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's like a freebie, huh?
Yeah, freebie right out of the trash. I was driving. I got the cup of coffee and was coming back, and they're building a new off ramp off the highway, off the interstate, and so I can't go down where they're doing all the construction. So I had to drive through the middle of town, and I stopped at the light. I went by this church, and then there's another light, and I was sitting there, and I looked over, and there was a couple trash barrels. It's Tuesday, it's trash day, and there's two computers sitting there, and I was like, oh no! So I turned right around, parked in some chiropractic place's parking lot, and then walked down the street and grabbed them, threw them in the back of the car.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, a machine like that, you can't put Windows 11 on them; they're too old.
Yeah.
But I could put Linux on that, and that's exactly what I did. So the last two shows I did, well, last night and the one before. So let me see, what's today? So last night's show was the one I did, and I did that on Linux, on Zorin Linux. And the machine screamed. I didn't have to do anything to it. All I did was upgrade the RAM and put an SSD in it. That's it.
Bam. Yeah, nice.
Bam.
Linux is easy to work with, isn't it? From what I understand.
Yeah, Zorin Linux is like Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the easiest one to use if you're going from like Windows. It's really easy. I mean, it's so Windows-like. It's kind of like a copy of Windows in a way, but it's Linux. It's a Linux, operating system. So
Linux was around before Windows, wasn't it? From what I remember.
Well, in a way, yes, but in a way, no. They used to use Unix.
No,
and a
Linux
bunch
came
of
out.
other ones.
Linux is open source and uses the Windows platform, but you're allowed to modify it any way you want. But you're responsible for all the drivers, and it's very, very hard to put viruses onto Linux versus Windows.
Yeah,
it's about the equivalent of getting viruses onto an Apple computer, which is not open source, even close.
Took me 10 minutes to get that operating system on that drive. 10 minutes and it was done.
Damn, that's quick.
It's like 6.5 gigabytes to do the whole install. That's it.
All right, gentlemen. It's thank you very much, Roger, for having me on.
No problem, man.
Everybody else who's been listening. I have to go to bed.
I understand. Yeah.
Cheers. Have a wonderful night.
Oh, D-Man, I used to live in a college town, right? And at the end of a semester, all the kids would leave their PCs behind. Yeah. So I've done a few of those.
Yeah, my friend used to. My friend was like the super up a building in Boston that all the college kids would take off out of, and they would do the same thing. He would give me all the PCs and broken laptops and all that shit. I would strip all the stuff out of it, sell it or trade it, or I've been building machines forever. I have a ton of old computers that I still have a Windows XP computer that I've had running since. Well, I've had a Windows XP machine running since 2002. That I still play old Windows XP games on and use all my old software, audio edit, video edit, picture edit. I still watch DVDs on the XP box. I still play games on it almost every day. It's amazing that, my friends would throw this crap away. Oh, that's old crap, throw it away. And here I am. I still have a running Windows XP machine to this day. This is hilarious.
That's cool. And I don't have anything like that anymore. I did for like in the like mid 2000s. I had a few an old compact. It was not usable anymore for the most part, but I'd strip it down and delete everything on it. I had a friend who worked had his own shop, so he would go through it. He would erase all the old files off of it and put it back to original status with the compact set. And the computers don't wear out or break really. It's more the software than anything else, and all the junk they add to it. You strip it down, and it'll work, man. Yeah. Oh, it's complete, and I have a green light, so nobody's hacked me.
Goody.
Yeah, I've had people come in and robot my computer several times, and they'll type in IP addresses and start sending me links into my PC. Like,
my shit got hacked when Yahoo got hacked.
Yeah.
When Yahoo got the big hack, and they lost like 2 or 3 million passwords. Everybody's passwords got hacked. Well, mine was one of them. And
there you go.
all my shit got ripped off. All my crap. I had to go and change my credit card number and change all kinds of shit because of all that shit with Yahoo. Them losing and not even telling anybody that their shit got hacked. that was great. Yeah, great. And then when Yahoo got his big data breach.
Did they have a lawsuit or two? I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
a whole bunch. Yeah, they didn't contact anybody, so people's shit got stolen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people started to say, "Hey, well, my email is locked out, and now my fucking credit card shit's got stuff all over it." Like, oh god, here we go.
Huh.
Yeah, it was the only time my shit got screwed up. But I mean, I don't really do anything online anyway, so it's not like besides this, that's about it.
And the only thing I do online is pay subscriptions so far, is what I can tell. Nobody's got into my bank account yet with it.
Yeah, well, I used to use the Yahoo. Yahoo's main page used to have a shop section where you could go on and buy stuff through Yahoo's page, and it would give you a discount. That was how my shit got stolen. So all my shit got stolen. All my credit card info, all my passwords, all my, because I was stupid enough to take all that stuff and store it and use Yahoo's search page. So I was able to, it saved all of my info. So I didn't have to type it in over and over and over. And yeah, they didn't even tell anybody. I was like, wow. Yeah, great.
Now, you want to play the rest of this video?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I love watching this stuff.
Might as well.
Wilson's persona and the whole punk rock underground movement.
The fact that Dwayne was around and practically a mascot for Thrasher magazine. I mean, just the epitome of the attitude and where it was coming from.
The name Thrasher, I think, came out of Dwayne's mouth.
I'd call it Thrasher.
The act of thrashing, skateboarding, it's gnarly, it's raw. Thrasher.
He had attitude when he skated, aggression, punk rock, and all that. He's a great skateboarder, and probably more importantly, he fucking won contests.
Cool skating to me, it's just so hard to judge, He has a very competitive style. His style kind of came from all of those bowl contests.
At that point in skateboarding, style pretty much dominated everything. The tricks were almost pretty standard. And what he did was push them right to the edge.
Those contests were pretty intense. Those guys would come out, they'd be bloody. Crowds were small, but just yelling and screaming and shitting their pants right along with the skaters. It was parks, and it was cement, and it was pools and kinks and coping and upland death sessions where I think everybody would slam. And in the heat of the battle in the Gold Cup Series against Eddie Alguera and Grisham and guys that were kind of going out that were some of the greatest skateboarders that have ever lived.
Dwayne Peters, second on the Pro Series in skateboarding right now on the vertical or the bowl competitions. You're going to be up against Eddie Alguera, the #1 man, pretty soon, probably in the finals today at the High Roller Park. How do you feel about coming up against Eddie once again?
I'm not scared or anything. He doesn't bother me. I just got to make all my tricks. And because he's got all his own tricks and I got mine, and if I pull them off as high as I can, it's all just a matter of who gets the gnarliest and who goes for it more, I guess. I'm just going to try and compete and do my best.
Dwayne kept it simple. Bare bones, all style, all attitude. He had a reputation for doing his own thing, inventing most of the tricks that he performed.
Dwayne came out with the fakie thruster, the sweeper, the indie air, the invert revert, the acid drop.
His unplanned physicality was unmistakable. This style saturated his attitude and his showmanship.
Without further hesitation, we'll bring in the master of disaster from Santa Cruz, Dwayne Peters.
After the first day, Dwayne would be 1, 2, or 3, pretty much guaranteed. And this was against a pretty hot group of skateboarders.
They really had to be on their game. If you wanted to compete, you had to have something new. You had to have something that nobody else was doing.
Invert reverts and stuff like that. That trick was invented on accident because you just hang on to anything.
You saw a lot of new blood coming in, and the team rivalries. And you know, you had the Sims team with Bowman, Andrick, and Lamar, and you had the Powell Peralta team with Mike McGill and Ray Bones Rodriguez. And then you had the Veribots with Eric Grissom and Eddie Alguera. And then all of a sudden you had the Santa Cruz team, man. It was just punk as shit with Salba and Olson and Dwayne. They were the guys that kind of brought the old school into the new school, but yet they still performed and did what needed to be done to win.
You know, that's what makes, I think, competition interesting, is that when somebody just has a totally different approach to things.
Yeah, the Big Oak Gold Cup, man, that was Dwayne's day. You know, nobody could have beat him on that day. He stayed on, he rode faster than anybody, he used his original tricks with more style than anybody. And it was perfect with his music to what he was doing. It just blew everybody away.
It was all about crowd appeal. Dwayne had the whole place standing up and just holding their heads going, oh my God.
The Gold Cup series was sort of the series right then.
Now,
you know,
Dennis, I remember half of these tricks when they came out. Yeah. We couldn't do this stuff with quite as well. I stuck out to the street for tricks, but yeah, I did method lean airs and stuff on ramp. I didn't do any vertical plants at all. Wasn't that good at it. We had a guy that we skated for who actually did. His name's Tony Magnuson. You ever hear of him?
No, I've never heard of him.
He started a company called H Street and Magnuson Designs. It came out of San Diego. They birthed a little skate company called H Street, and they had a few big names like Matt Hensley. I think Ray Barbie eventually went over to his. You never heard of these guys, though, probably.
No.
That's a little after that mid early '80s rush of skateboarding. Yeah, that was the inspiration though. Like a lot of those tricks were inspiration for their sets and stuff for ramp. It developed in air competitions. But like this guy here, Tony Hawk, he's got had the highest air that I know of.
Yeah.
But Tony Magnuson did it, but it wasn't official. He beat Tony Hawk's high air. I think it was 27 feet around there.
Man,
I know that's a lot of air.
Crazy.
I know.
Dwayne Peters, by the way, was one of the first guys to try to do the loop-de-loop. He did it in a show. I forget what the name of the show was, but it was huge. It was way too big to do it. And I think he tried to do it like 6 or 7 times. I think he broke his shoulder trying to do it, where he got all the way to the very top and just dropped right off because the loop itself was way too big, and he didn't, they weren't giving him enough energy to complete the loop. He got about halfway off and fell off of the thing. There's a picture of him literally gotta be 15 feet in the air, like coming down, no bag either. Like, oh boy.
Yeah. Ouch.
He broke his shoulder really bad.
Well, that's the price you pay when you try to do. That's an impossible thing for me mentally.
I saw the one when Tony Hawk did it on, I think it was MTV or some show somewhere, and Tony Hawk did it, but it wasn't the giant one that Dwayne Peters tried to do, where it was as tall as a Mack truck. You know, it was like, yeah, that thing was way too big. You needed a lot more energy to complete it. He would always get to halfway and said it was impossible to do. It was too big.
Oh yeah.
It was plexiglass too. You could see through it.
Okay.
So it
Now-
was just, it was plexi. And he did it on some weird show. I forget what the show was when they were like having the skaters go around and do all the tricks and stuff. It was a show that they had.
You're
And
talking
yeah,
about Jackass?
I forget, but it was like a show that they had, like, you know, freestyle bike guys and skaters and roller skaters and stuff.
They had the Nitro Circus and on MTV, and they did Jackass did segments like that.
Yeah, and I think he was doing it pre all of that stuff. I know the one I saw on Tony Hawk, he did the corkscrew loop de loop, where it actually, he went up one side and then came across the middle and then came down on the other side of it. And I watched that one, and I was like, holy shit, he just did it, you know. But then I looked at the size of it and said, well,
compared to what
the loop is very small. It's not huge. It's not, you know, 15 feet tall. You know.
The thing that got me with it, you remember little Danny Way? You ever heard him?
No.
Danny Way is Tony Hawk's protege. He started another company, a couple other skateboard companies after that. He's still skating today, but he actually launched over the Great Wall of China.
That's crazy.
Yep. Danny Way is crazy, dude. But at 14, he was doing this stuff, dude. And he went on the Bones Brigade tour when they were doing it. I caught the last one he was on. They stopped by. They had a regular stop in South Carolina called Ike's Skate Shop, and then they put on demos. And the Bones Brigade would come there every year. And I got to run into. That's where I ran into Rodney Mullen. And he came in there. He was driving an Astro van. He had a big popcorn bumper sticker on the back of it that says Showtime on it. He was high as a kite when he got there.
Check that picture out real quick. That's the loop that Dwayne Peters did. Look at how friggin' giant that thing is. It's like 20 feet tall. Look at that thing. It's massive.
I just clicked the link you put in. I think I clicked the wrong one. Let me go back.
The bottom one. It's the
I got you.
IMG.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, that's pretty damn big. Yeah, I got to share that with everybody right quick.
It was made out of steel frame, but it was plexiglass, like you know, early, you know, that early curved, you know, plexi stuff or whatever, Lexan or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah,
and that one of him falling off is the one that he broke his shoulder. It snapped his shoulder real bad. And I think
they have parks like this that have this set up.
That was done for a show. That skateboard I don't know if it was the Skateboard Mania, but it was done on a show where he was supposed to do it live in front of a ton of people, and he could not do it. Couldn't do it. He said it was way too big, and it was way too dangerous, and you needed a lot more momentum, you know, to do it because of the size of it. I mean, when you think about, look at the guy standing next to it. You could probably put 4 people, you know, on top of him, and it's still not. Yeah, huge.
And I think that skateboarding magazine clip right there, I think that's Transworld now. That's what that was back then. Yeah. They covered it. I see they got the bag down there below him.
Yeah.
Looks like he made it to center at least right there.
Yeah. He was supposed to do it live, and it never. I don't think he ever did it. I think like I said, I think he was getting kind of close to it, and when he tried it, that one where the board's dumping off, he's got to be 15, 18 feet in the air.
Oh, yeah.
And you notice that thing doesn't have any arc to it. It's not pinched or, you know, that's huge.
Definitely. That I would have loved to try something like that when I was younger. I doubt I'd do it now.
Yeah, you'd be carrying me out of there in the ambulance.
The last time I actually went out skated, like for real, without anything, and I fell like 6 times, dude. No joke.
Right. I got a mountain bike. I bought an electric. You know, I bought a 20 mile an hour electric bike, just in case, you know, in case gas goes to hell, and you know I got to get somewhere. Well, that thing can go 40 miles. You know, so I go 40 miles to 20 miles an hour on a flat. I only got to go about 5 miles, and I'm in the town, so it isn't bad. You know, so I was like, perfect. I'll get the, you know, e-bike was like $600-700. And I was like, yeah, perfect.
I've got a regular mountain bike though. I was ride it. I didn't get an electric bike.
I have a Trek mountain bike too that I take down the trail and ride on the side of the highway.
Yeah, I got a Schwinn that I got. I went to work on it for a year because I had vehicle problems, and you know, if you ain't got no way to get there, you know, bike it, man.
Yeah, that's why. That's another reason I got that thing, just in case, because if something ever happens, you know, I figured, fuck it, I could always just grab the bike and go ride down to the town, or go to the post office, or go to wherever, and just ride the bike down there. It ain't no big deal. I'm in the country, so you know, it ain't a big deal.
Yeah, there's a whole like society of bikers here in Denver. They got their own little club. There's bike trails everywhere. So
yeah, they're putting a rail trail on the side of the highway where the railroad used to run. They turned all those old railroad beds into rail trails, so they're walking and bicycling trails. You can ride e-bikes on them, but they have to be limited to 750 watts, and they can't go faster than 20 miles an hour. That's state law. So I bought one that's 750 watts and can go 20 miles an hour. I think 22. I think is as fast as I got it to go. But it'll go like 40 miles before the battery warning comes on, something like that. 38 miles.
Not bad.
Yeah, so I could definitely go down to the Massachusetts from here, you know, on one battery, which is impressive for a goofy bike. But you know, I look like a dork on it. But I figured, you know what? Who cares if I got to get down to the town and go do something? It's, you know, and I got it. You know, what the hell? If gas, if gas gets too expensive, I'll just start riding the bike. It ain't no big deal.
Yeah. Well, my transmission went down in the Explorer I got now. So while the damn truck was in the shop and getting work on it, I didn't get it paid off right away neither. It took me almost 6 months. So I had to ride the bike back and forth to work. I think I rode 5 miles, 6 miles there and 6 miles back daily.
Yep.
And the bike trails through here, they're wide open, dude, and they're as hilly as Colorado's going to get, dude. It's a workout. Yeah.
Yeah, you're way the hell up there. They have a big what's that crazy highway? That I know I'm jumping all over the place. What's that crazy highway they got that goes through the mountain tunnel? What's that? The Eisenhower?
I don't remember the name of it. It
goes through Colorado.
It goes through Colorado, but I haven't been on it yet.
Yeah, it's a huge road that goes up a massive hill and goes through a huge tunnel. I forgot what it's called. It's named after one of the presidents. I forget.
Roosevelt?
Yeah, maybe. It's a giant tunnel. I forget what the hell it's called.
There's
one of the guys
up here somewhere that's called Roosevelt Lake, and they actually have a boating section, and they got a bar called the Roosevelt. You go out there. I don't know if it's the same name they gave the tunnel. So
yeah, it's the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Okay.
Eisenhower Johnson EMT is located. Colorado? No, it's not it. Yeah, the Eisenhower Tunnel. Eisenhower Tunnel, officially Eisenhower Edward C. Memorial Tunnel. It's a dual-bore, 4-lane vehicle tunnel in the western part of the state. But you got to climb up a massive hill to get up it. You know, because it goes up in mad elevation. One of the guys I saw on TV drove up the thing. Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel, Interstate 70, Colorado Rocky Mountains.
I get on 70 every once in a while, but I haven't been out there. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty massive.
They got some huge bridges here too, but nothing like if you went to like LA or something.
Yeah, I've never been past. You know, most of the traveling I did was basically cut down the middle of the country. Going any further out, I didn't have a lot of connections with people out, so I kind of was like, that's kind of a trek, you know. So I would go out where if I drove for a couple of days, that's like the Midwest to me, you know.
So the next thing I'm going to bring up now, how do we have all these major structures like this on a spinning water ball being held down by gravity?
It's so ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think about it. I mean, like Sov, because he knows how to build things, when they were talking about plumbing level, you know, all those things. You know, I have some knowledge on that, and yeah, it's not possible.
Just the integrity of the structures wouldn't hold up. Some of the ones I've been on, some of the bridges that they got, that we got one on I-40 going into Phoenix that is so high and so stretched that any kind of a force like that would eventually just get pulled apart.
Yeah. Massachusetts, the biggest bridge in Massachusetts is called the Tobin Bridge. It's gigantic. It connects the North Shore to downtown Boston, basically. It's gigantic. You're like 40 stories in the air.
Yeah.
You know, it had to be built in the 50s by hand or 40s by hand. You know, with guys up on those things with rivets and stuff. I almost shit my pants because I worked for the DMV, for a long time. And one time I had the guy from the highway department say, "Come on, we're going out to the Tobin Bridge. You ever been in the the office we got up there?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Come on, hop in the truck with me." So we go on the top of the Tobin Bridge. I mean, I've driven over the Tobin Bridge all my life. We got to the top, and then it's you have to climb down these stairs on the side, and it goes down to a literal building that's held underneath the roadway. And he said, "Go over to the, because you don't realize it." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. It goes down into the road." And he said, "Walk over to the window." And I got immediately dizzy, immediately. And the other thing I noticed is that if I stood there and put my hand on the wall, I could feel that thing rocking and moving and swaying. It literally, it gave me vertigo.
Oh, nice.
Just being in it. And I was like, "Oh my God, get me out of here. I'm going to puke." Because you could feel it moving the whole time. I mean, you could.
Your coworker had that in mind, though. I think.
Yeah, that's why he was doing it. Yeah, that's why he was doing it. And I'm watching the water bottle. I'm watching the machine with the water bottle on top of it fucking swaying, and I was like, "Oh my God, how do you work here?" He's like, "It isn't bad. Once you sit here for a while, you don't even notice it." And I was like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna puke."
Yeah, I did a show. I did a stream on bridges, and I had 4 or 5 Globies coming. Like, that proves the circumference is curved, and they're like looking at bridges. Like, dude, when they build suspension bridges, they add that in there for tension.
Yeah.
If you look at the base of it, it's horizontal all the way across.
Well, they most of the time the arc bridges they made so that as the load passes over them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The same thing when you drive over ice. When you drive over ice, the ice is actually getting a ripple in it. It's actually moving a little bit. So as the truck moves, like a heavy 18-wheeler when they drive over the ice roads in Canada, I tell you can only go so fast, because if you go too fast, it moves the ice will flex. It'll flex around.
And it'll crack.
Yeah, it'll cracks underneath you and shit. Oh my God, I'd be paranoid as hell.
Well, I spent 4 seasons watching ice road truckers, dude.
Yeah. I always found that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I always found that interesting.
Let's get back to the video.
Yeah,
I want to get out of here. Yeah.
I hear you, man.
I got to work in the morning anyways. All right, here we go.
It was pro and am. It was all the best guys. It was at all the main parks. It had the biggest coverage. I mean, when you look back at what the coverage was, it's nothing compared to what coverage is today. But to us, there were banners, and it was in the magazine, so that was a huge event.
Back in the day, competitions was everything. I mean, it made you who you were, really.
It was all about your contest places. It was all about how you fared against everyone else and how you were judged. And nowadays, people get a year, maybe 2 years to film parts for a video, to collect footage. We had 45 seconds to bust out. That's all we had. If you fell in that 45 seconds, you're out. You're not going to make the finals.
And then Dwayne came on just like this unknown storm.
He never planned to run, didn't figure things out,
That's why I like Dwayne, because he just throws all the rules out the window, just does what he does, and it just comes to him. He's got 2 tricks, and then after that, it's just whatever,
He just barely pulled off everything, but really he was in total control of the whole thing at all times.
I think when Dwayne came around, skateboarding was kind of saved.
You would have the audience jamming, screaming at the top of their lungs, because here's the dude who almost killed himself, and now he's pulled it off, and now he's going to maybe kill himself on the next wall. I think that gives you a crazy amount of energy as well.
For example, while most pros practice and hone their formulaic runs, Dwayne would pull up to the contest in a VW with a swastika painted on the hood, ignore his pounding hangover, skip his practice runs, and blow on by the roll-in channel to an acid drop into the deepest part of the pool. From there, he'd just go where his guts and lines led him. Dwayne's skating carried a great element of surprise and spontaneity, and the crowds ate it up.
And the rad thing is, during the contest, they didn't really have music that we wanted to listen to. And because this new thing was coming from the streets, we wanted to listen to our own music. So we were the first guys to actually go, look, here's our cassette. I'm going to listen to the Germs right here from My Run. And Dwayne's all, here's my cassette. I'm going to listen to Black Flag.
I remember going to the events and I was just so overwhelmed. Never seen so many skaters in one place.
There wasn't any comparison. You'd show up late, probably half in the bag, wouldn't take a practice run, nothing. Just do acid, drop into the deep end and go, man. Guys non-fucking stop.
Head on my shoulders.
It's Mike McGill.
I won't apologize for acting out of line. You see the way I am. You leave anytime you tag us. I'm crazy and I'm hurt. Head on my shoulders. Going berserk.
Everyone was focused on competition then, so there was strategies, and people were like, I'm gonna see my best stuff for last. It seemed like Dwayne just went all out every time.
I think those guys, Dwayne especially, was performing rather than competing. It was how you did things and how you looked and how you acted that was more important than what you did almost. I think that's skateboarding.
And Dwayne never held back, but Dwayne didn't fall, so he was always in the finals.
He was just so sketchy. He would just go for shit, but then he would make it.
To say that after the Gold Cup, there hasn't really been a contest format or series as intense, as competitive as those days.
At that time, there was a huge Santa Cruz Veriflex rivalry. They were the stylish, aggressive guys, and the Veriflex guys were the more mechanical, very trick-oriented guys.
Here's a Santa Cruz dude that really don't care about the rest of this whole community of skateboarding. And then the rest of the community of skateboarding really didn't care about the Santa Cruz dude because the Santa Cruz dudes would spit on these dudes.
It was almost like a soap opera at the contest.
I remember. Did it skip a video or something, or did it add to it?
It might have went to the next series in it because I think it's a series of videos.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the Santa Cruz crew because they actually got Santa Cruz tattooed on their calf, so they were like branded, and that's why I got my A Street tattoo. It's on my calf because I wanted them for a sponsor.
Yeah. He kind of had a F you attitude, like this screw this contest shit. You know what I mean? His attitude was that way. That's why he did stupid stuff.
Yeah, but he pulled it off though.
Oh yeah, because he'd be the guy that would just show up and wouldn't practice crap and just show up and do shit. Just be like, okay, I'm here. All right, see you later. And that was kind of his attitude. He's on YouTube.
I think it's a good attitude. Yeah.
He's beat to shit now. He can't skate at all. He was skating like 6 or 7 years ago, and I think he was in his early 50s, and he was still doing bowl stuff. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Skater Hall of Fame.
Cool.
Crazy guy, man. But it's funny that the first person I saw was that. So when I saw what do you call it? I was like, holy shit, he's so old school. This is Dwayne Peters era. Early 80s.
That's what Gonzo, Mark Gonzalez, those are the skaters he fed out as his best all-time skaters. So that's why I did that. That was one of the first pro models I got was like Mark Gonzalez.
Yeah, it was the same thing with the bike guys. They had the freestyle guys who did all the street tricks, hopping up on the pegs and rolling they started doing those where the cables would come down to the neck and it had a spinning disc on it so the cables wouldn't get so you could spin your bars and roll the thing around while you moved your hand behind you to roll the bike. I mean, my friend could do everything. This kid Kenny, he could just do anything. I could just say, Kenny, do this, and he would just do it. and do it for 10 minutes. He could ride a wheelie. I've never seen anybody ride a wheelie one-handed to the next town. You know, I mean, he could come to the sidewalk and stop and hold the bike on the back wheel and then just continue pedaling on to the next show. Like, how? How do you do it? You hang his arm behind him, turn his head behind him while he's like, how? How do you do it? You know, like he could just do anything. And I just like, man, just the skill, you know, like you must be just doing this every day. I think it just came to him naturally. I think some people, that stuff just comes to them. They get into it and they just pick up on it. You know, that's it. Some people have to work at it crazy hard to get to, you know, some people it's just I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I'm going to pull up, trying to see if I can find the first Mark Gonzalez skateboard model. And I'll show you the one I got originally, if I can find it. Here's a vintage one. Yeah. This is not exactly the second one I got. I'll show it to you. Sorry about that.
We had a couple. Skateboarding wasn't really a big thing. Freestyle bikes was really big. All the kids I knew had freestyle bikes, like, you know, Hutch and Haro and Trickstar and, you know, and all in Skyway. And, you know, if you were a BMXer, you know, you had a Columbia or like a Stu. I forget the guy's name. Ah, shit. The guy was a BMX guy. They had all the ads in the newspapers and stuff. Stu Thompson. Stu Thompson was the big Columbia BMX racer guy. I remember all that shit.
They didn't have bikes though that were modeled after skateboarders, or I mean bikers, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, really, it's kind of the same thing, but you had BMXs, which was like BMX racing. You know, where they would do that small course. And they would, you know, they were more BMX based bikes. And then you had trick bikes, which like had extra bars underneath the seats. You could stand on it. They would put the pegs, instead of using nuts on the axles, they would use these big fat pegs so that you could stand on the pegs. You know, they just had more shit on it.
Right. I turned the volume up on it. Yeah. I was going to just give you an idea what it looked like.
Oh yeah, it's a cool looking board.
Yeah. That's like his third model he put out. But yeah, sorry.
There must be a crazy market for old school boards and stuff. There must be. Yeah.
I could probably go on eBay and buy like a whole bunch of old decks and sell them, upcharge them.
Oh yeah,
People like them.
Sure for vintage gear. Sure, I'm sure there's probably people that just go around and try to find old trucks and, you know, and all kinds of stuff, and go and try to find shit and old school board shit. You know, I mean, there's a big market for that stuff. I mean, I wish I kept all my BMX bike stuff. That shit would be worth a fortune today.
I want to ask you something though, right quick. Where'd you get your avatar from?
That's from it's from, I love that picture, by the way. It's just it's from an album cover. It's from an Italian band that I found. You know, I don't really listen to modern music much. I don't. The last time I really listened to music was kind of the 90s. But I found that band. It's called The Pilgrim. It's a band called The Pilgrim.
Okay, The Pilgrim. Right.
And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's basically like a zombie with a lamp. He's guiding your way down a path.
Yeah, like walking. Well, the name of the album is Walking into the Forest, and that's the character that they have on the album cover. I just cut the outside of it off so it would show up in the circle. Nice. I actually made it bigger too. I made it so that you know, it's actually a smaller image. I just blew it up and then I used snipe tool and snipped it. You know, snip tool. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's like walking, you know, it's nighttime and he's got the ocean in the back. I used to have a beard and really long hair, and I was real thin. I'm not anymore. But, you know, back in the day, yeah, I kind of looked like that a little bit. So I kind of like you know, kind of said, yeah, that's kind of like me back in the day. You know, shining the light.
There you go. All right, I'm going to get off here. I'm going to play out with a song.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, Rod. It's good to see you, brother.
Anytime, Dennis. Appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
All right, night, everybody. Whoever's out, there's 7 people watching there, supposedly. That's what it says. I'm going to play out with a kind of an old one. You ever heard of Lucius Jackson?
I might have, yeah. Sounds familiar.
They did kind of a punky pop style back in the 90s, I think. But they got popular out of New York with CBGBs, and but they're kind of like suburban.
Yeah, that's cool.
This one's called Naked Eye. It's the name of the song. You might like it. Let's see. I'll pull it up. I kind of like them. They're different in a way. It's kind of old school. Yeah. All right. That's the good night, guys. I'll see you later.
Les passagers du vol Royal Air Maroc Air France 7473 à destination de Marrakech sont à retard sur le dans la salle de bord numéro 32.
With my naked eye, I saw the falling rain coming down on me. With my naked eye, I saw if I said it all, I could see. With my naked eye, I saw the falling rain coming down on me. With my naked eye, I saw if I said it all, I could see. Last night I came into your home to break some ice and throw some stones. I asked if we could be alone. I had some troubles of my own. Knew I had to say goodbye to all the old things held inside. If I let the moment fly, I knew they'd all be magnified. With my naked